Let's sit back and enjoy the meltdown. Michael Beale suggested today that the Rangers isn't broken. You're fifth in the league. You're 4 points behind your biggest rivals. You said that there's fine margins today in the game. And I don't know what game you were watching, but I really don't. There'll be no TikTok fucking videos tonight either. Hello and welcome to episode 139 of Celtic Rumours TV, the Bawz and Bovril podcast with your host Mark and myself Paul. Tonight, hopefully, if he gets a chance, Terence will jump on with us. You can check all of the links to the podcast in the description, including our forum page to the podcast, www.celticrooms.co.uk. If you like what we do, hit the notifications, hit the like button and subscribe to the show. On tonight's show, of course, we have a good decent chat about today's Glasgow Derby. We look back on the Champions League draw and transfer window over. Are you guys happy? Could we have strengthened more? Time will tell as the season goes on. But firstly, though, I'll hand off to Mark for a few shout-outs.
Thanks very much, Paul. Few shout-outs for some of the guys for the forum. Glitchy, David, a Glasgow Greenhall, Tim Alloy, Welshie, JFP. That'll do that for there. Give some shout-outs to the guys in the live chat and all. There we go. Bobby, good to see you in again, Bobby. Robert Baker, nice to see you, Robert. Thanks for coming in. If Frank Terence is after your blood, mate, for calling him the Irish guy the other night. If Terence comes on, expect a bit of a rollicking for him. Brian, nice to see you in again, Brian. Big Jabber. Thanks very much for that membership, Jabber. You didn't need to do that, but thanks very much, mate. There's Terence here, I know. Michelle, nice to see you again coming in. Anton, thanks very much again for coming in. Greg Summers, nice to see you. Mikey, there's Mikey there as well. Good to see you, Mikey. Big Campsy. Jerry, nice to see you, mate. Subwise, we're up at 785 now, Paul. in the viewing. I mean, the one we done the other night, only 300 odd. Maybe we'd have been delighted with getting that kind of views, but just the actual numbers we're getting is absolutely fantastic. Just big thanks to everybody that comes in the live chat when we're doing them. Everybody that listens back, whether it's on YouTube or on Spotify or whatever. We really appreciate all the support. And it's times like this it makes us all worthwhile to be a Celtic fan. Right, when you go, bud.
Celtic 1, Old Firm FC 0. Kyogo with a rocket on the 42nd minute. Goulson never fails, always steps up in the big games and hands Celtic the big chance. People are asking for a captain to step up today, and surely he did. Callum McGregor just ran that midfield today. A big game from Joe Hart, who pulled off some great saves, coming off his line from clearing the ball to, I don't know, just making big saves. Beale, the technician, the master, the big plan from Michael Beale, back to his 80 Jack Charlton tactics, long ball and hope for the best. Celtic sit top of the league, 2 points left, 4 points ahead of Rangers, who sit 5th. But of course, Rangers aren't broken. Your fans weren't saying that today, Michael Boo, when your team was getting booed off the pitch. You were getting booed off the pitch. I wasn't expecting that result today, Matt, but character, mentality of that team, Rodgers knows how to win a game, and it worked. Whatever he said to that team, Mark, today, it worked.
Aye. I mean, it was night and day for last week, Paul. And as you said, Paul, we needed players to step up. When I saw that team sheet today, I'd have happily been delighted to come away with a nothing each draw to that. But every player, I mean, Turnbull, we'll obviously get into more detail, but just in general, every single player today, for me, deserves all the praise in the world to get in there in a game like today, where they were getting wrote off, and maybe I wouldn't write Celtic off. There were a lot of the press in that were writing them off. I mean, and the Rangers fans thought it was going to be easy in that, but every one of them stepped up to the plate and put in a performance in that to get the 3 points. I don't think anybody really honestly expected us today. Even Brian, it's always Mr. Optimist. If he was hand in heart, you would have been happy with a draw there, Brian. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby 1962, thanks very much for coming in again, mate.
A few dodgy moments, Mark, but all in all, you have to give credit to Lagerbeek and Scales there in the back line. Just Scales there, 58 passes completed, second highest in the game, 10 clearances, the game's highest, 4 out of 8. Aerial duels won, 3 blocks wasn't high in the game. He won 3 out of 5 tackles. He only got dribbled past twice, and overall duels he won 3 out of 8. It's not bad for your 5th choice centre back, Mark, is it?
No, I thought Lagerback was a bit kind of sloppy at times. But it was definitely a foul on him. I'm not getting away from that. But Scales, I mean, he didn't put a foot wrong all day, really, did he?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got to give him credit because he's a player. Nobody, I don't think anybody's really expected him still to be here. And whether it's because of the injury crisis or whatever, he is still here. But he stepped up to the plate today. And as far as I'm concerned, for me, Scales has got to be kind of starting in the Dundee game for me.
Mm-hmm. I
think it really has to. It's just the way you played today, maybe like him and that Phillips will start. Do you know what I mean? But Scales, you've never seen a performance like that for Stephen Welsh. You know, how long Stephen Welsh been here?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I put that kind of comparison. That would be who I would compare it with. Do you know what I mean?
No, I was very impressed with Mark. Look, we said it last week, that we were quite nervous about the back line, but bar a few chances, a few big saves by Joe Hart. I think what we need, and I think Rodgers knows this about Joe Hart, not to have Joe Hart, Mark, be the sweeper keeper.
Aye.
Let Joe Hart be the keeper he is, and And he showed that today, Mark. I mean, like he showed it last week against St. Johnston, 2 big saves, and he pulled off big saves again today from today as well. You know.
But I mean, to be fair, a lot of them were straight down his throat because their strikers are absolutely honking, absolutely
Actually,
terrible.
I need to check that for Cyril.
Oh.
He last week that he died on the pitch.
Aye.
To make is he dead or is he still
Did even
with that name Cyril anyway, Mark? You said you're better off in the ground anyway when the name's called Cyril. You know.
There's Mikey coming on for a wee while, Paul.
You know.
Evening, Mikey boy. Thanks for coming on, bud.
All right, how are you getting on?
Aye, good to hear how.
Good. I don't think no one expected that today, Mikey, huh?
No, it was a pleasant surprise, but the first, I mean, I don't know how the chat found it, but I just can't believe how easy the actual game was, especially considering how many players that we had missing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a shock to me, and I think everybody was quite within the right to be a bit apprehensive because with the squad we've currently got available to us, we all didn't know what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But
like see, that's the best about it, like what Mikey said there, Mark, that look at the injuries we had, and that's a full strength Rangers team, and we controlled the game.
Some of the excuses is it's all like it's a new team in that, but the majority of the players that were there on the park for Rangers today were there last season, and we've got injuries out. We know the team's not playing the best it can be. Once all the injured players come back, and once the team starts to click, we learn with Rodgers and all that. There's no team in Scotland got to stop us this year. There isn't that league. I'm telling you, that league's in the bag for us already because they are garbage. I tell Mikey, and Mikey couldn't believe how garbage they actually were today. But I said to him, I says they're one of the worst teams I've seen playing at Ibrox in a long time. And that says a lot when you consider where they've been over the last few years. You just said earlier, Paul, it's the actual style that they're playing, and everything's just a guy like Brendan Rodgers, tactical wise, has just got to chew Beale up and spit him out. Even David Gallagher, thanks very much for coming in again, mate. Nice to see you. Miles, nice to see you again, pal.
Fair, I wanted to say fair play to Scales in that today as well. A lot of people had written him off, and I didn't think he was Celtic class. I mean, obviously, one good game doesn't make you Celtic class either, but to be fair to him today, he stood up to be counted like that. I thought Scales was outstanding today. And
he deserved that man of the match performance. He did the man of the match award.
Like Lager Bielka, like you say, he's just a very, very young guy. Like you say, he wouldn't have been used to anything like that before. And I think Scales going on loan to Aberdeen last season, like you say, it would have helped him. And because he played against Rangers nearly every game last season, playing for Aberdeen. I think a lot of people need to remember as well. I spoke to Mark earlier about this. We signed Ryan Christie. Ryan Christie was nowhere near Celtic first team and was not even getting a game for the reserves. Went on loan to Aberdeen and came back and ended up being for 18 months to 2 years Celtic's first team's best players. So maybe this game is enough for Scales to maybe get his foot in the door. And like he says, I'm not saying that he's going to be a regular starter now, but that wouldn't have harmed him today. You know what I mean?
Day's confidence, a power of good that performance today, wasn't it? I mean, let's face it. If you go to Ibrox and playing for Celtic and you come away with a win and you put in a performance like that, you're getting the fans on side with you, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? A lot of people maybe have been writing Scales off after the deal, maybe give him a better chance instead of just Scales is playing. But do you know what I mean?
Well, there's not one person in the chat that seen that starting 11 announced today and thought we've got a chance today. I don't care who it is.
Brian would have and did if you read the forum.
But I genuinely, like says back to what Mark says, I genuinely can't believe for how much money they've supposedly spent, how bad they actually are.
13 million, I think, I was rumoured, Mark. Was it you?
But that's what Beale said today. But it was according to see if you add up your transfer fees that have kind of been put out there. It comes to something like 20 odd million and stuff like that. And Beale came out today and said something about these are all wrong with the figures. We've spent £13 million on 9 players. So if they spent £6 million on that, was the PSV boy, was that Mikey?
Fine, or the Danilo
Feyenoord.
that can't get a game for them.
Aye, you're meant to have spent £6 million on him and stuff like that. It's just all been bull headline kind of grabbing things and to make their fans feel, oh, we're spending money, we're spending more than. Because I think it actually, if you go and work out what they're saying they spent, it's like working out more than Celtic maybe.
Well,
And it's just all pure nonsense.
I think the worrying thing is for Scottish teams and everything and that, if that's Celtic at their worst in terms of squad and injuries, then think what's got to come. Like I say, when we've got all these players back, like it could be quite, like it says, quite a frightening team to come up against. Like I said, if that, like I say, that was them genuinely at their worst. What like Carter Vickers? I mean, if the players that they signed are struggling against were second, third, fourth choice players, what are they going to be like against when we're at full strength?
Well, even if you go, Mikey, like when we get to the Derby team at New Year, we're midfield three. Look at that midfield three, even in the first half, including David Turnbull. Think what a midfield three is like. Cal Matt O'Reilly and Hattati are home. Do you know what I mean? Once home's settled in. But imagine Hattati being on that park today for the start. He'd have loved that. He'd have ran a mock on there the day. Evening Mappy, Archie Thornton, I think that's a new guy. Thanks very much for coming in, Archie. Nice to see you, mate.
I genuinely didn't understand what was happening in the first half, but how much space and how deep they were sitting. Like I think it actually took Celtic off guard as well, how like deep they were actually sitting in the time they were giving Celtic on the bus. Like I think it actually confused like Rodgers and the team at the start of the game.
There's Bobby saying, Bernardo too. I forgot about him, Bobby. I throw him into the mix. And sure, Turnbull's time's got to be coming to an end.
Yeah,
I mean, that was like just another empty jersey performance for him today.
We were lucky that Callum Mack stepped up today, Mac, in that midfield. Otherwise,
first half McGregor was brilliant, but then they started in the second half. They started like man marking him or double marking whatever. But Matt O'Reilly stepped up and ran the show in the second half.
I thought Matt O'Reilly was brilliant.
Aye,
absolutely brilliant.
You got your pal Cantwell a belter in the box, didn't he? When he just turned the ball,
and home came on my end. Sit down, you bitch. Get him on the floor, right? That's what he did, right? This so-called hard man that he is, like, you know what I mean? Jesus, my God, what's the story with that bandage on his hand, anyway? You know, is that supposed to be a fashion statement for his TikTok video?
I don't know.
I've never known Barbie to be classed as a hard man before, but
yeah, exactly. No, but I was very impressed with Home when he came on. I think he gave us that kind of more physicality in that midfield as well. Very, very impressed with him when he came on.
I'd like to look at Home. I think he could become a really good player, really important player for us going forward. I was just saying earlier, Paul. He's played a lot of football there in Norway for his age.
Did you?
So he's got to have something. In that Norwegian league, I've said it before, Paul, that Norwegian league overall, the standard will be a lot higher. Not maybe a lot higher, but it'll be better than like the actual overall standard in the Scottish league. I was impressed with. I was really impressed with Home.
What about the finish though from Kyogo? First, I mean, he didn't even think about it. Like he just.
Mikey's got a theory on that. Evening, Kaiser, you a madman. How you doing, bud?
Yeah, well, that's what
Mikey's got a theory on this.
Because I mean, I like Kyogo. He's one of the best strikers we've ever had, but he sometimes irritates me with his flicks and everything and that, especially when we're drawing 0-0 and everything and that. I personally think he hit that because he thought he was offside. And that's how I was that from, because to hit it like that from outside the box like that, I would have presumed that he would have took it in a lot closer and said him. But the fact that he hit it so quick, I just presumed he hit it because he probably thought he was offside. I mean, I might be wrong with that. Like,
no, I never gave it a thought, Mikey. But when you think about it, that maybe be the case. I'm be caring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because that's what I mean. Like, I don't know what other people were. I don't know what other people were thinking as well, especially with VAR. As I was like, I celebrated, but as one of them that you think he's like, when you seen it in real time, I thought there's no danger he's onside because he had that much space. And then when you actually seen it back and realised that John Suter was playing him on for about 5-6 years, I couldn't actually believe it.
I thought they were
just while we're talking about this, Mikey, we touched on it the other night, see what you think about it. I don't know if I spoke to you about it. Did you read it? Bill was in the other day, you know, about some defender that they were trying to get in and all that, and he was planning to go and play in the free at the back this season. So see if they've not done that. Is that just knackered his full plans of how they're going to play this season?
Who's this? Is this Beale?
Aye.
I don't think it matters what way he plays and what players he's got. Like I said, he's just a dumpling. It's quite evident now.
His tactic today was put Roof up against Taylor and loft the ball up to Roof and Cyril. That was his tactic.
But that's what, when they keep that Dessers up front and just get hoofing the ball. Like when we've got that Nat Phillips playing that, I don't know what size he is, but he looks about 7 foot in the pictures. And Vickers is a bit of a short arse, but wins everything in the air. That's never going to work, eh? And like when you've got Alistair Johnson throwing about Matondo and everything, and that like he was just yesterday's newspaper. Like in the middle of the park, we looked a bit like, but the day like Celtic just. It was just a strange game today. Like the defense was just. I just couldn't believe how bad they were at him in such an important game for him, especially off the back again, absolutely annihilated for PSV. You thought that, and going into a national 2-week break as well. They're like the next 2 weeks for them is going to be mega painful. And like you say, they come back to an away game to St Johnstone. That'll not be an easy game for them either, eh? So they're in serious trouble, eh?
I mean, because that's the thing, Mikey. It's like if that's their level of performance, as you said, and this is apart from the Champions League games, this is their most important game of the season. Do you know what I mean? They were running polls and they were saying that some of the fans were answering the polls saying they would rather lose to PSV and win the day. Do you know what I mean? That's absolutely craziness to think like that. It's this early in the season, but it's not as if he said that long with these players. What's going to change you this international break that's going to make them any better? I mean, he came out in his interview, one of Marcel, and he said, "I'll need to have a hard look in the mirror at myself," and so some of the players. So he's basically flung the players under the bus, saying that. And it's not as if he's going to all of a sudden going to click something and say, "All right, if I do this and do that, we're going to be a totally different team." This is hit for them. That's all they're going to have all season. And see all this. I mean, there was all the rumours about when Gerrard was here, that it was Beale that was the brains behind it and all that. I'm starting
to believe that.
I don't believe that for a minute, no.
What I loved as well is I loved Rodgers' interview as well when he was asked about the team and the way they performed. He says that they're still a long way away from the way that he wants them to play and the tempo and that. So if that's just the writing on the wall for everybody as well. Comments like that, the fact that he even came out, and it was a good performance by Celtic today, didn't get us wrong, but the fact that the manager came out and says that he expects hell a lot more, I like that.
Aye, it's the first time. See that, like you're saying there, Mike. It's the first kind of bit of fire that he's kind of shown. If he's came back, he's been a wee bit subdued. Do you think maybe as well? Do you think a lot of the fans were kind of doubting him, didn't want him back? And that, do you think this will tip a lot more fans back into not loving him, but kind of. Loving, evening, love it. Nice to see you, mate. Thanks very much for coming in. Sorry, Mikey, on you go, bud.
Like, it was always going to be apprehension there. Like he says, the way that Rodgers left, and obviously he's came back and everything now. The first few months coming back, especially he's going to be under major scrutiny. Like he says, when this played not that great against Ross County, you picked up the result, lost against Kilmarnock, drew against St Johnstone, you were starting to get that negativity. But that result today just bombs all them out the water, Because at the end of the day, okay, they're out the League Cup, that's poor, but they're still sitting top of the league. They're in the Champions League group stages. When all the players come back for injuries, it's one of the better squads that we've ever had. Like it says, left back, I'm still confident maybe that, and it maybe just me with Taylor. I'm hoping that he maybe gets back to something like his best. And he learns the way Rodgers wants to play. Hart looked a bit better the last couple of games, to be fair to him, and I've been his biggest critics. Well, always admit when I'm wrong. Like you say, he looks the last couple of games like he's.
I think what I was just saying at the start with you about Hart.
Is that maybe that's what it is, Paul?
Take away this sweeper keeper that Ange wanted to play. Hart's best asset is shot stopping, and I think Rodgers has kind of been the experienced man that he is. He knows that that's not Joe Hart's biggest attribute, and he's let Joe Hart kind of kick well. But today, we saw Joe Hart coming off the line, heading the ball. Anytime he came off the line to kick the ball, he got there. There was no messing around trying to pass the ball here, pass the ball there. And these mistakes, Mark, that Hart makes with his feet, they could show your confidence as well.
Well, maybe Rodgers has just tell him, look, just clear your lines, go old school. Just go old school way and don't bother about trying to piss about at the back with all this passing about and playing out for the back and stuff like that.
Yeah. I wouldn't have liked Ange in charge of that team today, Mark, passing out from the back with that defence.
No.
Definitely
No,
wouldn't.
Don't get us wrong. Scales, he's shown that he did show a few times like some decent kind of touches in that, rather than just clearing the lines and that stuff as well. But again, it's just playing at Ibrox. Was it just a case of just get the ball out the box as quick as you can get it cleared. Don't be fanning about at the back and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think so, Mark, and I think that comes down too from experience from Joe Hart and experience from Brendan Rodgers. Adapting to the players that's on the pitch. And that's what they did. They knew that probably wasn't was kind of one of our weakest links. Mark is passing the ball out from the back, and just you said there where to go, right? Just clear the lines.
What I found today as well. I don't know if anybody else would have picked on it. It's been like this the last few times when we pumped them there. That was a prime example of the day why away fans are also essential in that game as well. Because right from about 5 minutes in, the players were picking up on the negativity from that crowd there. It was quite evident, like you felt it like through the actual TV, like the sound.
Yeah.
I didn't think the atmosphere was that. I don't know. It wasn't coming across like any kind of poisonous loud atmosphere through the stream I was watching. I thought the atmosphere was awfully flat.
Yeah, whenever that's all the time they were passing it back, you just heard the crowd get worse and worse and worse. And that was it's another prime example of the day why like away fans in that game. You want away fans, Like it says, and a prime example of the day was no hen away fans. I just put more pressure on them. Better good for us. But
aye. Evening, Tia.
Evening, gents. How are we all?
I'm good, pal. How are you?
I'm good and glad I'm eating humble pie, thank God.
Aye, Terence was not looking forward to the day at all.
No, I wasn't.
Even for all week, wasn't it? We've not got to do much here than that.
None of the signs, Mark, before the game suggested anything. And then, I'll be honest, when I saw the team sheet come out, I was like, oh my God. I was like, we could be in for... I said it, I think I said we could be in for a bit of a hiding here. Like, not that they're any good. And I heard you talking there, Michael alluded to there as well. But I just thought Celtic had been so poor up to today. But obviously, so many guys, like you're saying there, has just stood up to... Like, it was Callum McGregor. Like, we know Callum McGregor, certainly in the first half, he completely dominated. Scales at one of the games of his life. And, all around, players stood up to be County Joe Hart with a couple of great saves. And it was unbelievable. As I said, we were down the pub and no one down there everyone was kind of going, oh God, this could be dodgy. And especially I think after they scored early, you're thinking, oh, and they got obviously the disallowed goal, you're thinking, oh my God. I thought when that went in, I thought, oh no, here we go. But in fairness to a man, they fought tooth and nail, the team, and it's a fantastic victory out of them. Fantastic.
Do you know what though? Fair dues to Robertson and was it Mo that was on VAR? Was it? Who was on VAR?
I don't know, but
you know what I mean? Because I thought that was a given. You know what I mean? I really did. That their goal, but
that shouldn't have got to that, Paul. No, but that was a foul. That should have been blew up long before the ball even got to the net.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, Mark. I mean, I just because of the way we see shocking decisions being made in Scottish football, and I thought we give him.
Yeah.
But when you see it back, like the rules of the game, Lagerbeek went to kick the ball and he was impeded by these are trying to get the ball. Do you know what I mean? And Lennon
But I agree with you, Paul.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know.
I agree with you there, Paul. I thought initially that they were going to allow it, but the more you saw it, like Mark is saying, the more you're thinking he surely has to give it. Like even the fact they scored, the only criticism I would have had probably of Joe Hart, that he should have saved it because it went kind of through his hands. But that aside, he had a fine game. But like you, I thought they were going to give it, and only when he went to the monitor, you're thinking, God, is he still going to give this? Is he still going to give it as a goal? You just don't know up there. Thankfully, in fairness, I think the referee had a good game. To be fair.
I thought he did a decent enough game. I think there's obviously wee odd fouls in that, and maybe you say, oh, why is he getting booked and why is he not get booked for that? But I thought overall they did a decent game too. I really did.
Yeah, I thought.
A couple of shout outs to a couple of boys. Good evening, Pulse Boy. Nice to see you, mate. Somebody else here. Sean McCluskey, nice to see you, mate. Thanks very much for joining us.
And it's like Michael.
Yeah. Is Mickey popping off? Is Mickey
going off? You going, Mikey?
Yeah, like I said, I'll just leave since Ter's on now. Like he says, I'll pop off and I'll just monitor the chat and I'll leave you three to have a discussion now. All right.
Right, no bother, Mikey. Thanks very much for coming on, mate. Right.
Hey, take care, Michael.
Cheers.
Take care, mate.
Yeah.
Take care, bud. Bye.
So just going on to a point that Michael was saying there, I was kind of listening to it while I was kind of getting things sorted here as well at home. Like he was right. Like if you consider some of the misses that Celtic had, it could have been a much bigger scoreline. Like.
I
mean, Kyogo's missing the first half. Was it when he tried to flick it? I'm not sure what he was trying to do. It was a I don't know. It was a strange one. Like he's nearly a better striker when he doesn't have time to think. I know I get that probably sound funny, you know what I mean? Because that one, the volley that fell for him, it fell from him and he just hit it first time. Whereas the one he was through and goal even in the second half, and the one in the first half where he's through and goal, it's nearly like he's got too much time to think. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but he seems to be when it's a one touch or as he needs to make a quick decision. He seems to be a much better striker in that aspect of play.
Mm-hmm. There's one thing as well that caught my eye during the game was Fortlands pushing Kyogo, and Norton was kind of taking of it, and we kind of noticed that he pushed Kyogo to the floor.
I did, yeah. I did, and then he pushed him, and then a defender pushed him, one after the other. But at the same time, Paul, that's where Kyogo needs to be a little bit stronger, a bit tougher. He's too nice, he's too polite in the pitch. Like if he knocks, like he's kind of, if he fouls a fella, he's giving him up. He's nearly giving him a kiss. You know what I mean? He's hugging him, rather than like he went in and it kind of a bit of a challenge, and he bumped into Butland, and Butland just pushed him, and then the next defender just pushed him, and he wound up on the ground. You know, I be honest, I don't have a huge issue with that, because I'd be saying if it was roles reversed, I'd expect our fellas to do the exact same. Mm-hmm. You know, you're not going to get a decision as in a penalty or anything like that, but because it's kind of, you know, second phase of play or whatever they call it or whatever. But I didn't see. I saw what you're talking about, but I didn't see much wrong with it. I just think Kyogo needs to be a bit more, not as nice, I suppose, is a better way of putting it, but it's probably the way he is.
Direct as well, didn't you just want him? I don't know. I still keep saying it, and Brian's going to pounce on me, man. That's just Kyogo, an out and out striker a day. But they've had more goals out an out and out goal poacher the day. The one that I thought Maida came sliding in, man. That was a bit of a poor miss for me as well. It was I know it's still needs to time his run, but I thought he could have timed that better because he could see what was happening. Do you know what I mean? It was obvious where the ball was going to go.
Nearly looked like it went under him for some reason. I know it probably didn't, but it looked like it went under him when you're watching it in real time. You know what I mean? Because the keeper makes a half decent save.
In fairness to Dyson again, though, today, like you can see why kind of managers playing in these games pin back Tavernier again most of the game, didn't he?
That's what Maida. He doesn't.
You know, he kept pressure off Taylor, Mark, didn't he?
I said that to Mikey before we came on here. I said that to Mikey. I said Maida done a great job today because he kept Tavernier pinned back. That was his job all game, and he done that really, really well.
And he did it, Mark, didn't he?
Really
because
well.
That was my only worry, Mark, today about them. was him getting forward and getting the cross in or their set pieces. But geez, they could barely beat the first man with their set pieces. And I thought that would be their strong point. You know.
I'll be honest, you can see why they were hammered the other night. You can genuinely see why they were hammered the other night, because I thought, as I said, going into the game, I was worried. And when you consider the amount of players that Celtic had missing, and the way they had played coming into the game, like Rangers, if you were a Rangers fan, you'd be like disgusted, because they were brutal. Like, they were very poor. I thought they'd be a lot better than they actually were, but they were very poor, and that's pretty much their full strength side. Like,
exactly. Like, only good times to come with them. I mean, if Rodgers is saying like he still wants more from the team, that they're not where he wants them yet, Mark. Do you know what I mean? With a full strength team back, we'll see more and more the way Rodgers wants his team to play. You know.
But to be fair to Rodgers, Paul, even after the St Johnstone game and that, he didn't say anything that the fans weren't saying.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, look, we didn't do this good enough. We didn't do that well enough. I expect more. And that's what I'm saying. By the time we get a fully fit team for all our players back, Paul, and Rodgers has got them on his kind of system, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be it's going to be good for us, but it doesn't spell well for any of the rest of Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
It really doesn't.
I was talking about Lagerbeek with the thing we were just talking about when he got fouled. Like he was saying as well, Lagerbeek will learn from this is to get rid of the ball early, not dwell in it. Do you know what I mean? You know, so Rodgers kind of knows.
See, just with that, Paul. See, if you watch that back, Lagerbeek knew that he was struggling. But he's turned his back on the guy, and I don't know if he's known it himself, but I'm looking at it the way he knows himself. He's in a bit of trouble. So he's turned his back on the boy, and the only way the boy's going to get the ball off him is foul him. And that's what happened.
Especially when you're coming in the back of him anyway, Mark.
Honestly, that didn't need to go to VAR. The referee should have had that blew up right away as soon as that happened.
But I suppose the tendency is, though, Mark. Sorry, Paul. The tendency is now, Mark, as well in those situations that referees let it play out because they know that there's VAR there to back them up. If for argument's sake, they make the wrong call. Whereas he's probably thinking as well, if it plays on and there's a goal or there's a shot or obviously the goal, they can go back and look at it. And if it is a goal, I did right. And if it's not a goal, well, the other guy's going to tell me and I'm going to look at it and say, sorry, it's a foul out here. Rather than him blowing up. I agree with you, it was a foul and he should have blown up straight away. But sometimes the referees seem to take themselves out of the responsibility of blowing up, if that makes any sense.
Aye. I mean, I don't know, did VAR even check that the Cantwell penalty claim? Even in Cameron Shannon.
They did, yeah, Mark. Yeah, they saw nothing in it. They saw nothing in it straight away.
I thought they were going to give that, I'll be honest.
Even so.
That was a shoulder them, Mark.
I know that, Terence. We know that, but come on. It's Rangers at Ibrox. Do you know, that's what I mean? I thought it was maybe even things up a wee bit for the goal.
And that's why, Mark, that's why I was impressed with not impressed, but delighted with the officials today. No away fans, 50,000 tons, and they want Fleet to make their own decisions. I mean, not be intimidated by, like, you nearly be guaranteed now there's going to be a 16-page letter instead of an 8-page letter. There'll be 16 steps this time being sent to the Scottish FA.
I wonder if it'll be included about what gets through in the park. What was that?
It looked like one of those vapes, is it?
It looked metallic. It actually looked like a spent bullet to me.
It did. First of all, you think it was that too as well, like, yeah.
Aye. But
someone said it was a vape.
Somebody said it was a blade.
No, it's a vape.
Oh, a vape. Oh.
Yeah.
But once again, we go to Ibrox. It's not the same as the glass stuff, but
exactly,
you
can see why
just another example there.
Yeah, exactly.
Aye.
You know,
I mean, but surely that's a good.
But how many times is that and nothing ever gets brought up and they never get punished for it?
But would that not be a good case for Celtic to go, look, we're not comfortable giving them 700 tickets. We have no fans of it and our players are still getting metal objects fired at them. We don't feel it's safe to have Rangers fans in our ground. Surely it's a good case for it, like.
But
I know they won't go for it, but you know what I mean.
if they want to take you 700 tickets, let them take them. I
So-
don't want them. I don't want them at Celtic Park, but I don't go to the games, so it's not. If the guys that go to the games, I'd leave it up to them. Really, if you know what I mean. It's them.
Why, Mark? Let them trash the stadium then when
I
they
know,
get beaten.
Paul, but people,
You know what I mean?
maybe a lot of fans maybe think it's part
Sure,
of the
look at this, mate. The next
Just Paul,
derby
let's
up
not be
there-
kidding. But let's not be kidding. When Celtic fans go up there, it's not exactly. Maybe there's no maybe wrecking the toilets, but they'll be damaging that done as well.
They'll be
They'll
drinking out of them
seats.
anyway for a fact. I mean, that's what they're doing.
But that
You
it
know?
seems to. I mean, it was a kind of. I can remember somebody telling me years ago it was like just a kind of unwritten rule, unless it was like serious damage. Do you know what I mean? It was just a case of like, right, if the seats broke or that, Celtic pay for them at Celtic Park, and at Ibrox, Rangers pay for them. That's the kind of. Unless they've actually smashed up the toilets and stuff like that, then
Do you know what will come down to? There'll be no allocation for the fucking home fans at the matches the way things are going if they're getting booed off the pitch next
I
time.
know.
They'll ban their own fans. We're going back to COVID restrictions. No fans in the stadium.
They were raging the day. The fans. I mean that, but I was.
You see that poor old fella there? He didn't know what finger to put up, and he was looking at his two hands. You know.
But I mean that's getting back. You're getting back to like the reaction to that today. You're getting back to times like Jack Cassini and that was in there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's them. I mean that's the 4 games played in the league. They're behind. What is it, Paul?
6
7
points.
points,
They're
6 points behind us.
on international break.
And
Last two.
And they know. I mean, if you're a Rangers fan the night you're sitting there and you know that the league's there, it's going to be a hell of a long league season for them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the Champions League, Mark, everything. You know what I mean?
I mean, they're sitting there the day, and I think it was Neil Lennon said to Chris Boyd something about, or was it James McFadden said that, I mean, Rangers they're the favourites for the League Cup now. But are they? If the way that you see them playing.
Don't know, Mark. Yeah, look, Aberdeen and Kilmarnock might fancy their chances there.
Aye.
The only saving grace they have is they don't get an away draw.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only saving grace they have. If they got an away draw to Aberdeen or I don't know who's left it, or Hearts or Ross County or something like that, it'd be a different kettle of fish. But they don't get an away draw in the League Cup. It's always at home. But
I mean, they're that bad. I mean, I've said that. Right, see the League Cup. See in Scotland, it only matters to Celtic and Rangers. Right, all the other teams would like to win it, but to Celtic and Rangers fans, I mean, we've sort of spoke about it, tampered with the team. Do you know what I mean? Put some youngsters into the team in the League Cup and stuff like that. The only reason it is because if Celtic don't win it, the chances are that they will, and if they don't win it, they see it as if that we will. Do you know what I mean? But apart from that, it's not really that big a thing that Celtic went out in the League Cup to me, really. The league's a bread and butter, especially for this Champions League spot next year. And I mean, it's a trophy, we'd like to win it, or add to the trophy hole kind of thing, but it was a poor...
Champions League?
Oh, no, the League Cup, you're fine. But in the bigger picture, it's not that big a disaster to get the League Cup. Do you know what I mean? And come the end of the season, it'll no matter to us. It's just still a bit raw because we went out the League Cup and then we went and we drew last week. And I'll give and I hate to say this, but I've got to give Chris Boyd some due the day, by the way.
Oh man, he tore it to beat Mark.
He didn't hold back. And you maybe wake up the morning and think, maybe some of that stuff I shouldn't have said. He'll have been getting text messages and that saying.
I say, Mark, he's saying this stuff now, because Chris Sutton is there, he know if he says things, Chris Sutton will pick him up in straight away.
But I mean,
like, criticising their transfer windows, Mark, and everything, like the players who bought in, they ain't good enough. Do you know what I mean?
Aye. But he did. I mean, he was raging. It was great to see him raging. But he spoke a lot
and smiling, then Mark. Just
he didn't know. He didn't know whether to laugh or where to look or down. But I mean, what was it he said again? He said that all. He said that all the positivity for the Rangers side of things this week wasn't because of anything they were doing good. It was because they all thought Celtic were doing so bad. Or it was like they kind of lines. Do you know what I mean? The Rangers hope wasn't, we're playing well, we're doing well, we can beat them. It was case of they're playing bad, we could beat them. And that's And if that's the kind of thinking, do you know what I mean? It's going to be a hell of a long season for them. That's what I'm saying now.
I'm probably thinking it's Rangers are bad, but Celtic have been worse. That's probably the way they were thinking.
Probably thought this was their kind of best chance to play Celtic. Do you know what I mean? Oh, we've no Carter Vickers,
we spoke last week that these games are running 1 and 4 in the midfield, and we were worrying about the form of Callum Mack over the last couple of games, but whatever Brendan Rodgers said to him or whatever Callum Mack did to himself, bulked himself up, he knew how important this game was to him. So he led by example today, Terence, didn't he, Callum Mack?
Oh, he did. Yeah, he was excellent. I mean, in fairness, there was the two lads in midfield. There was one anonymous, but 2 lads in midfield were excellent. And McGregor, I think the biggest thing as well that I saw today, Paul, is McGregor demanding the ball from the centre backs,
making himself available.
Yeah, but at some point he wasn't doing against St Johnson. Sorry, Paul.
I do think, Mark, that himself and Turnbull they're getting in each other's way. They were in the other games, and I think he's just decided to go right. Because Turnbull seemed to take a lot of the ball in the other games, whereas I think McGregor's just finally gone, right, no, screw this. In the captain here, I need to start stepping up.
We seem to move the ball a bit faster as well, Mark, when Callum Mack was seeing it. There was no, like, Turnbull taking about 2-3 touches waiting for him to see what the first move is. Do you get me? You know, it would just get the ball, let it go, and we're gone, you know?
I think as a team, Paul, they moved it quicker today, much quicker than they have in anything.
Yeah, you know.
There was one point in the first half, and it was Cal Mack, Turnbull, and I can't remember who the other one was. It was just like they were just playing like one of these rotundo they call it in training when they just try to like keep the ball off the other players, and they were just doing that. And that's just, I mean, people are probably maybe saying, what they're doing that for, kind of, but that's them just trying to find the kind of rhythm, get into playing these balls. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that was us today. We are still trying to find our feet as a team. You know what I mean? As we say, McGregor's been struggling, Taylor's been struggling, the full team's been struggling basically really for the season's kind of started. But so, the day to go there and win that game, for me, it's got to be a massive, massive boost to the players individually, and just for going forward for the rest of the season.
O'Reilly and Callum Mack had to carry Turnbull until home came. He just had these, you know. I think when the injury, it's like the same with Ange. Ange had to play Turnbull, Mark, till he got his players in. I think it's going to be the same with Rodgers. Once Rodgers gets his full team back in, I can't see. I can't see. I hope not that we don't see Turnbull starting as regularly as he does. You know, a big game today, Mark, and we were hoping that he'd step up. Or I was shitting it when I saw him in that team today, and I said that to you, how in the name of Turnbull getting on this team? Like, fucking hell, I didn't mind about Scales. It was him. But I don't even think he was mentioned in that first half. You know, all the possession we had, Terence. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And been here once. You know?
Well, the only fear I would have, Paul, is, and it's a very fair point, but I was saying it to you when we were talking during the week. I said he's definitely going to start him. I don't know what he sees in him, but he seems to have a liking for Turnbull. But like, to go to your point, I know what you're saying about injuries, but he has Awata and Holm available to him, and he still picks Turnbull ahead of those two boys. I know most people would say it's a Tate, but he's still picking a Tate. He's still picking Turnbull ahead of Tate for the first 2 league games. Do you know?
Yeah, but does he look at? Is this? I'm just thinking. Is Rodgers doing it, Mark? Does Rodgers look at, like, David Turnbull's been at the club for a long, long time, and he's a player. I know that, but that's what I'm thinking. Is that the way Rodgers is looking at things? Like, I don't know, because I don't see why he's picking him. Like, you know, I really don't. You know, and that would be my objective today, Mark. Would be Turnbull's performance.
That was the only down point for me. It really was. Yeah. Evening, James Clydesdale. Thanks very much for coming in, mate. Nice to see you. But it's like, we've got home. We've signed up Bernardo.
But when he came on today, Mark, he was demanding the ball. He was going in to tackle something that Turnbull didn't do, going to tackle.
Aye,
You know what I
home,
mean?
aye.
You know,
And
Deck
as you said,
Cantwell, put fucking Cantwell on that floor there like he was like a feather. You know, and I'm looking, going, sit down, boy.
does
He gets
anybody
back up then looking for a free kick, you know?
does anybody actually know what Hatate's injury is?
I think it was a calf injury, Mark. I'm only judging it when I saw the game. He was holding his calf that game against Aberdeen. I think it was Aberdeen or whoever it was. He was holding the back of his calf. So I'm just assuming it's a calf injury, but the level of severity, I don't know. But the problem I have, Mark, is that he's still picking. He was picking Turnbull when Latata was fit. He was when Awata was there, and even when he brought him home. So he was of the four midfielders in that situation. He was picking Turnbull first, and that's my worry.
I said, what was there? Could I be saying what it was last week? Was there some kind of uncertainty over Hatate's future, Mark, and that's why he wasn't playing and looking at his different options if Hatate did go, you know?
I see, but our Pulse boys saying it's Hatate Winter just starting the team due to signing a new contract.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something more in that, and I know our transfer windows are all shut in that, but that Saudi one's still open. I know his agent said he doesn't fancy it, but I think there's something behind the scenes with Hatate. I think there's a bit of animosity there. I really do.
I agree with you, Mark, but there's still no reason that he couldn't pick one of the other two boys.
Oh, aye, I know, aye. But I mean, imagine like seeing Michael earlier on. Right, we're playing them next New Year, right? Imagine, look, we're midfield, we're all up clicking, we've got like a midfield three, Calmac, O'Reilly, and either Hatate or Home. Do you know what I mean?
Bernardo.
Bernardo. I mean, they wouldn't be able to live with that.
No.
You know, fucking hell, that'd be. I'm excited to see this fella Bernardo and Palmer, though. You know, I'm excited to see I'm excited to see what's to come when everyone's available to Brendan Rodgers. You know what I mean? Because it's going to be a headache, Mark, because it's a big squad he has. Like, you know what I mean? It's a very, and he even said that himself, Mark. McCarthy's still there. I actually agree with you, Terence, what you said the other day. I don't think no one wants McCarthy, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
You know, really don't.
But see, even at that, I mean, he's no poor. He's made his money, do you know what I mean? He's been doing it in England for years, so he's no poor. But I don't know, why not go play with Ackies? Get back to Ackies for £200 a week or so. Do you know what I mean? Just to get playing football.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Rodgers came out and said during the transfer window there that McCarthy had basically been told to find another club. And it's all, the window's shut, he's still here, so obviously he couldn't find one.
Was he hoping for Saudi? So imagine we got 30 million from James McCarthy. Imagine the meltdown then, man. Jesus Christ, like fucking Beale would grow two molds.
And it was Gerard's team that signed him.
Gerard's team. Fucking Beale would grow two molds, I say, if that happened, I say. I could have sworn in the Sky interview after the match, his mold got bigger. I could have sworn, or was it just the way the light was shining? Like it just looked, you just looked at the camera, and it's one of those molds you can't stop looking at it. You know, I could have sworn it got bigger. You know, and if you take notice of that, was it just me?
Oh no, I thought the same. Yeah.
You know, it's like Robin Hood. Do you remember Robin Hood, Men in Tights? When the
moving around his face. Yeah, remember that? Yeah.
You know,
maybe it's funny. Like, he talks to him and that. Maybe that's where he's getting. Maybe it's the mould, it's the tactics, and the fell it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can't say that in the Rangers dress. There's a more in the dress room that's leaking out the thing because he gets offended about it. You know, like, but no, like, where does this set us up? Like, it's a bit of a pity what kind of going into the international break, Mark. You know, after that big win today, you know, you kind of want to keep the momentum going. But is it a good thing, Mark, considering the injuries we have, that players will rest up, give Rodgers more time to spend?
I'm quite glad, Paul. I'm quite glad, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how long does the international break last for? 2 weeks or something? So that's 2 weeks to all our injured players. all our injured players that are closer to coming back, we're not playing any football to kind of worry about anything. Do you know what I mean? There's no worrying about anything for next Saturday or Sunday. And it gives the players a couple of more weeks to work with Rodgers on the training and get more into used to what he's wanting them to do. So I actually think it's been a perfect time for me, Paul, to be honest, after the last week's result. Do you know what I mean? So we went there to Ibrox and we've won, and now we can not sit back, but the fans can sit back, and they're going to be raging for the next 2 weeks, because they've not got anything to take their mind off this. There's not another Rangers game for 2 weeks. So this is them just stewing while we're sitting there quite relaxed and knowing that we're going to be better when we come back. You know what I mean? That the Australian boy Marco Tilio, whatever you pronounce it. He's due back after the international break.
And it gives the new players as well more time to bed into the way and as you said, Mark, the whole squad, because obviously as the tempo and the way they passed today was night and day from the previous games I've watched. It was much better. And as you said, you're giving Phillips and you're giving that Palman, you're giving Bernardo, if that's right, the right pronunciations, you're giving them time to bed into the team and bed into the squad and, learn the way that he wants them to play and all the bits and pieces. So, yeah, the 2 weeks, and all what's going to be happening in Ibrox is they're going to be looking for who's the next manager. That's always going to be happening for the next 2 weeks.
And I've said it before. I really think the day's result was put as Jacob on a really, really sugary nail. For a simple reason, that board has totally changed. That's the board that's in Ibrox now, isn't
you say that today,
appointed him. So they've not got any emotional attachment, as it? We need to back him in that. Do you know what I mean? Because they could sack him and say, we were never that keen on him. We inherited him as a manager, but we gave him a chance and it's not working, so we're booting him.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not as if it's like Dermot Desmond with Brendan Rodgers or that. Do you know what I mean? Or any manager, it's a complete change of what's running their club. So they've got no kind of emotional attachment as that debut. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're actually thinking. Do you know what I mean? Considering their options already. Because even every time he opens his mouth, he'd make a laughing stock. See if he was managing down in that Premier League, see some of the stuff that he comes out with, the press would be pouncing on him. Because it's just like, he's saying one thing and then when it doesn't work out, he's just changing it to the next. Do you know what I mean? He's just changing it in the next interview to suit whatever's going on. And that's just, he's so far out his depth. It's hilarious. It is hilarious.
I think the fans as well, Mark, are after copping on that he's kind of all talk.
And that's what, but the thing is, Paul, he's talking nonsense half the time. And contradicting what he said.
But that's such a respectful. The only decent manager they had, Mark, who would speak the truth, and he got the sack because he spoke the truth, was Van Bronckhorst.
Aye. Even
that didn't go down well at the time, Mark.
Evening, Edward Diver. Thanks very much for coming in, mate. Nice to see you. Mr. Freeland as well.
But in saying that, Paul, and you're 100% right, but you have stuff, thankfully, which is great to see. Celtic are learning and they've been quiet. Like you would have fella for Rangers that Dresden saying he could die in the pitch if it means beating Celtic, and then you had Beale coming out going, I always, my two biggest guys I admired was Gascoigne and Laudrup. And you're like, they're just going like coming out with more and more waffle is all that they'd be coming out with, like. We're thankfully Celtic just say nothing and do the job in the pitch.
Yeah, it's like Brendan Rodgers and Danny McGrain story where again into it there.
Yeah. He's only happened to put like one Rangers legend in the sentence. The other fellow's a gobshite, but one Rangers legend in the sentence that he's saying, and the other fellow with him happens to be two players that most of the Ibrox crowd would have loved. And it's like that's like saying if you come in you're a Celtic manager, something about Jinky Johnson and Henrik Larsson, or you just name two famous names that the supporters love. Like, I don't know. That fella just, I think he's a bit of a spoofer, to be honest.
Mappy just reminded me of something there. Bisgrove, is it? He's the new CEO. Is he?
Yeah, he's. Yeah.
Can you imagine him and Beale going into a meeting to sign a player? The player would think it's some kind of fucking fancy dress. They think Beale is dressed up as some Keith Lemon sketch from the 80s with that mole talking. And they think Bisgrove is something from the fucking Coneheads.
One of the English heads put on the Ed's wee chat widget thing earlier on the day. Ed Wan, a Liverpool fan, he put on, he said, Michael Beale looks like an insurance salesman. He looks as if he's somebody who would chap your door to sell you insurance or something.
Yeah, sell you a dodgy carpet or something.
Aye.
On the carpet, yeah. A carpet, you know.
That James Forrest, the blogger, he calls him the mooch. That's quite, I quite like that.
You know, like, definitely, they're in torment after today, Mark. After what I saw, the only time I watched Rangers without playing Celtic was the game on Thursday night to actually see how shit they were.
Aye, I've said that all season. I've said that all season.
You know, and
here's
if they couldn't beat Mark, Celtic's fifth choice centre back, with Celtic playing the fifth choice centre back, Mark, ravaged by injuries, it's going to be a long season for them. You know.
Here's a belter for earlier on, right? I went in, after our game, I went in to look what was happening on their live chat for their forum, right? And there's a guy, I was going to actually take a screenshot of it to put up, I should have, and they're talking about the recruitment, and they piped up with this. What do you expect when your head of recruitment's an ex-Celtic man? The guy's blaming John Park because Rangers are shite. He's blaming John Park. That's what he put up. Imagine
Matt Stewart put up in it, Mark, that I'm seriously considering Neil Lennon because the way he spoke about the team today, the fact that Max Stewart on their live chat.
Aye.
You know, when they're talking about that, they definitely crumbled by. You know,
I couldn't believe it. Do you know what I mean? Poor wee John Park. Fair dues, he snaked and went to work for Rangers, but maybe is that Peter Lyle got him the job. Maybe that's what put out. We'll make a rumour that Peter Lyle got John Park that job at Rangers. Lyle
put John Park into Rangers. That was the whole plan. That was the plan for years. Like that.
The unseen thing in hand.
See that in their live chat there. Nice, you know.
It just goes to show you. It doesn't matter which one of the two you're at, so to speak. 2 or 3 big losses, and that's it. It's a serious issue of crisis. You're in a world of trouble, like, you know what I mean. Especially obviously the way they got pumped, and look, let's be fair about it. They got hammered during the week. Could have been a lot more than it was. Celtic could have scored a lot more than it was today as well. Celtic could have scored 2, or certainly they had a chance. It could have easily been 3. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean when you look at as you said it there. That's their best side that they can put out. Like look at even Celtic's bench. You know what I mean? You were going like, God, there was no one there that you could think would massively change a game, and you know come away with a victory, as you were saying, Paul, with the amount of injuries they've had. That has, and no away fans, that has to sicken them to the core, like.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, Mark, because that was their one time today, which an injury hit Celtic team to put in it. The way their fans were talking before this game, and they were speaking about our defence, that they were going to beat us 5-6-0. You know,
but that's what I mean, Paul. That's what Chris Boyd said on the telly. Yeah. He says, the Rangers' confidence and optimism wasn't based on anything Rangers were doing. It was based on how bad Celtic were. Mm-hmm. And they still couldn't beat us. I keep repeating it. We're just going to get better. And they maybe get better. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to get much better. They'll maybe get a bit better because you get used to playing with. Do you know what I mean? Playing together, we start integrating the new players in that. But once we start integrating with new players in that as well, we're going to take it to a different level. Mm-hmm. I mean, I said after that the day, it's proven that our squad is far superior to anything that's in Scotland. The league's not a concern. I'm still a bit worried about the Champions League and that, but we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. Just let's enjoy the day. As I said, it's a result. When I saw that team sheet, I really wasn't expecting us to win. The best I was hoping for was a draw. I'm absolutely over the moon delighted.
And Matt, you'd have been happy with a draw. With
aye, 100%. I even said, when it came up in that, and I said to Grotbags, I was like, look at that team, man. Says, I'd take nothing each out of that right now. Says, we'll be lucky not to get beat here today. So that's it. I don't even want to harp on about slagging Turnbull or whatever. I'm just that happy that we went there today and got that result. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody, apart from apart from Brian, obviously. But I know Terence was well on the other side of the fence, but as soon as that team came out today, I don't think there's a Celtic fan that wouldn't have took a draw.
Especially, Mark, the pressure that was on Celtic as well, Mark, because they would have heard the noise as well from Celtic fans, like especially being booed last week by at St. Johnston. You know what I mean? Like, like this, Mark, without no Celtic fans in the stadium. I mean, like that coming out there, Mark, with all their fans, and don't ask me what their typho was. Was that like the future child that Rangers aren't going to be holding children in the future?
I don't know.
You know,
your grandchildren will be Celtic fans. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. Next year we should do the same thing, but that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Last week they had Danny Day-Lewis at PSV. They had Danny Day-Lewis from There Will Be Blood. You know,
Kings of New York, that gangs in New York, went to
New York, yeah. You know,
but I will say one thing. See, me and Mikey were talking about it earlier. Fair play to them for actually getting the big kind of full roll down for a full stand, that kind of tifo, but the actual quality is terrible of them. I don't know.
Done by a first class fucking school.
It's like a shite Andy on that canvas. It's like a rubbish I come out with trying to do us new graphics in that, Paul. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Jesus Christ, when I saw that, you know.
But that'll be, I mean...
That'll be the only typhoon out for the year, Mark, because all their social welfare, those gone after that, I say. That's what it is, you know.
But, I mean, even getting back to like booing off the park and that, if you're at the game and you'd... See, like last week we seen against St. Johnstone, if you're at a game and you're not happy with the full team's performance, I don't think there's anything wrong with making your feelings known. I honestly don't. I'm not meaning going absolutely pure mental the way the Rangers fans were today, but see, like last week after the St. Johnstone game, but that's the only way Celtic fans have got to, apart from if the team's reading social media and stuff like that, it's the only way the fans have got to kind of tell the players basically this isn't good enough. I mean, what would you rather do? We drew with St. Johnstone and clap the players?
Well, I think as well, Mark, and you're right in saying it. It's the disappointment because you know the level of quality that's there in certain players, and they're so far below it that fans are entitled to, as you said, to vent their fury or their disappointment, I suppose, a better way of putting it. That you know that's not the standard that Callum McGregor plays to. You know that's not the standard some of the other players should be playing to. You know they're much better than that. And so obviously, like after the St. Johnstone game, you said, if fans are booing or are disappointed, they're entitled to be, because they know that's not what they've seen from Callum McGregor or the other individuals, and that's what they don't expect from them. So they're entitled to do it as well. As I said, look at it today. It's chalk and cheese. Like the pace and the passing and everything. If you compare it to St. Johnstone and compare it to today for the majority of the game, it was chalk day and night, chalk and cheese. Like Callum McGregor was miles better. Like
the ball. That's because we didn't give the ball to Tolman. That's what fucking. Even the players knows he's shit. You know, don't give him the ball. Pass it somewhere else. Don't give it to him.
There was for the majority of the game, there was so much more of one, maybe two touches, and then the ball was moved on. There was none of it. Like the ball was, in a lot of cases, was it seemed to be a lot more direct today, as in the sense of getting it out to the wingers or getting it out to the fullbacks or getting it out wide. Not necessarily always passing over and back. Okay, I know your man was nearly caught rotten for the foul, but generally speaking, compared to the St. Johnstone game, the tempo and the pace was 3 or 4 notches higher than it was in that game.
Mm-hmm. Like I go back to something, Mark, there that Mickey said at the start of the podcast. I'm surprised, like what Michael said there, how they didn't take Celtic for the taking, how did like the way we played as well first half, but how far they stayed back, you know. But I'm very surprised
that's just the thing. As I said, as I put in the Discord, Paul, when I saw that team today, and I think I messaged you in terms, the only positive for us getting into this is how rubbish they are.
Mm-hmm.
I knew how poor they were. Do you know what I mean? And I just was hoping that we weren't going to be as poor as we kind of thought we were.
Like you could see why this fella Lambers, whatever you call him, Mark, scored 7 goals in the space of nearly 5 years when he
Absolutely.
rounded Hart, and he
Lethal.
didn't know what to do with the
Absolutely
ball. You know.
Paul, see, me and Mikey were talking about this earlier on. I thought he was going to bring it up because he'd looked into it. See, Big Duke of Marcus, he scored more than 2 boys that they've signed in one season.
Yeah.
Relegated in Holland, the boy for Feyenoord and that. Then they've scored their careers. I mean, they're basically saying that the other big guy was
6 million, I think, Mark, was he? Diesel was 6 million, was he?
The boy for Atalanta, Natalie, and that's Mikey's Italian team. Him and Jonas scored there a couple of times a year. Watch Atalanta, and Atalanta thought they'd get a kind of steal of the deal, steal of the century with him, and right away it was just absolutely garbage. The Atalanta fans and that, Mikey said on the forums and that, he's on talking to him, they were delighted to get rid of him in that. And it seems to be, I saw a guy put it up on Twitter the other day, and it made me think about it. And I'm not trying to make excuses for Celtic dragging their heels in the transfer window and that, but is it maybe, see, like the kind of players, unless you've got the deals already in place for them, like we had with like say Kyogo and players that the manager really wanted, but see, like players like that the Rangers went out and signed, if they just went out and signed players that were right away as soon as the window opened, were available, without actually doing any decent kind of version of scouting, it was a
well, you saw about, it was actually interesting there today, Mark.
Jumped in that in boat shite that's just punted onto the transfer list as soon as the window opens.
You know, it was actually interesting today, Neil Lennon talking about like his time at Celtic, Mark, like the scouting and stuff like that. He said like a lot of work goes into it from the Celtic side, you know, like going down to scouting the player, getting the players' data, speaking to the previous players, coaches from previous teams, Mark, and everything. Like, I mean, so a lot of it goes, and it's actually, but it's actually better now, Mark, our scouting department. You know what I mean? You know, not signing players, Mark, just for the sake of it, like we used to. You know, of course we would have liked more people come in. A lot of people would like the goalkeeper. We would like the left back, but
reading between the lines, but Paul, it does look as if they've tried to sign other players.
I do, yeah.
No came across. Do you know what I mean? But I've said it before, and I'll reiterate it tonight. Apart from maybe Nat Phillips because of the injury crisis, see, every player Celtic signed this summer would have signed them. They would have signed these same players the fans was here. I totally say I'll back that. Honestly, I'll stick by that. If every single player we've signed, apart from Nate Phillips,
didn't Tilio say, Mark, he was on Celtic's radar for 2 years? You know, 2-3 years before Ange. You know,
who Paul?
Tilio.
Aye. Same. Well, even that Bernardo, we were meant to have tried to get him the same window with Jota. I was at the window after that.
We actually were looking at Bernardo, Mark, before we were looking at Jota.
So it just shows you that, I mean, it's hard to say, and it does sound a bit of a cliche, but you've got to kind of trust the system and see where it goes. I mean, terms, me and you were talking about that Liverpool goalkeeper. It seems to be.
Yeah, the links that came up there today, Mark, about him.
Aye.
Kelleher. You know, that is Brendan Rodgers trying to sign him for Leicester, Mark, when Kasper Schmeichel went, but there was no money at Leicester at the time, like so Rodgers as well. I don't know, I'd love to Celtic sign him, Mark, but Celtic could be in Celtic's mind as well. Like they spent a lot of money on Barkas and didn't work out, but I think we could be looking at 12, 13 million
different
for Cleveland Kelleher.
It's a bit of a different thing with Barkas.
I know that, yeah.
I thought it was 10.
Can you see Celtic breaking their transfer record for Cleveland Kelleher?
Oh, fine.
Well, at some stage you're going to have to do, Paul. You're going to have to break that record.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's face it. That could be the kind of investment that was maybe
10 years.
A young top striker.
This is the type that Brendan Rodgers would like, because Cleveland Kelleher could play with his feet. He's a modern day goalkeeper, Mark. He's learned under Allison, who was one of the best people at his feet.
And plus, he'll make his millions in 3 or 4 years' time.
He's
if they need to break the transfer record and do it,
Yeah.
2026
And-
his contract in, you know. So it'll
And
take a
as well
bit.
too, Paul, there's going to be, like, people can say what they want, but it's a big draw if you're an Irish person signing for Celtic. It just is, like.
Definitely.
And that's another apple, so to speak, that would entice him. That if he was going there, if they're Champions League and he's going to play with Celtic, he's going to be first choice. And as you said, Caoimhín Kelleher's only in his early 20s. Do you know what I mean? Like,
21.
do you know what I mean? If he was with Celtic for 7 or 8 years, he's still only in his 20s. Do you know what I mean? We're talking about keepers signing, like, looking at keepers that are potentially like Casper Schmeichel was like there, who's 36. So I mean, you could have not that there's any wood, but if that Caoimhín Kelleher did come and sign and he was loving it, it could be like the way Bonner was. He could be there for 10, 15 years. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there's a potential if you sign a keeper that young and he enjoys life there and he enjoys everything with it. You know, it would be a fabulous signing if they ever got it over the line.
It's definitely something we're going to look at in January anyway, because Hart will go back. Is it Shrewsbury, Mark? Was it Shrewsbury?
Aye.
So he's definitely going there. Even Brendan Rodgers came out and said that. You know. So it's definitely something we're going to look at in January. You know.
Evening, Mr. Phelan. Thanks very much for coming in tonight, mate. Nice to see you.
But as I always said, Paul, if you don't ask the question, you'll never know. You won't be in any worse situation if they say no. But at least if you ask the question.
Well, even Terence, if they could get him on loan for one season with an option to buy, you know what I mean? You know,
yeah.
I wouldn't. You know, I wouldn't mind that, because the benefit here, Mark, as well, is the Southampton keeper Benazulu's number one, and basically Stephen Kenny has told the Irish manager Stephen Kenny has told Caoimhín Kelleher numerous of times, you won't play, you won't be my number one, sitting on the bench. You know,
no, you can't be, because exactly. You know, really, aye.
You know, unless you're Harry Maguire, you'll get your game for England. No matter how shit you are, you still get your game. You know, he comes on the pitch today, and Manchester United lose 3-1 when Harry Maguire comes on. My God, but that could be a boost as well. And to do it on something Terry was saying there, like, it's a big push, Mark, and a lot of people don't realise it. Like, for an Irish guy to go play for Celtic, it's an honour.
His brother no on our books. His brother was on our books. I can't quite try and pronounce it.
He's 21 or 22, William. I think he's 21. Caoimhín Kelleher, I think he's 21. He's still young, but he's more experienced for his age, Terence, than you would think. Is he 23?
Yeah, but he is, like, I mean, he's international. He's, you know, but I fully agree. Like, I mean, the lure has to be away as well from the fact that if he's not going to start with Liverpool once that Alisson lad's there. And let's be fair about it, if he did leave, who's say Liverpool don't go and spend 60, 70 million on another keeper? Do you know what I mean? They don't necessarily mean they're going to put him in as number one. Kelleher, they might still go, God, we've seen this other lad, we Klopp definitely wants him, we'll pay 60, 70 million from whatever it is. He could still be, they still might just want him as a really, really good backup. And as you said, Paul, for his international career, if he wants to play football, and if he just wants to play football in general,
25,
he needs to go.
November, he needs to be playing first team football, Mark, if he's 25.
Aye. Can you see that name? Can you see that name I've put up, Paul? How do you pronounce that name?
Fiacre?
That's his brother. He was on Celtic's books.
Oh, yeah.
What position is he, Mark?
A centre back, I'm sure he was, Paul. He's definitely your neck of the woods, isn't he? Cork, like.
Yeah, Ringmahon. Yeah, he played for Ringmahon Row. It was actually...
Yeah, I've just looked up. He was at Celtic from 2012 to 2016. No, 2017.
This fella, Caoimhín Kelleher at the time.
He's 27 now. So he was at Celtic
Liverpool,
he was 12 years
he
old.
was playing, Mark.
12.
It'd be... I say the MUL Terence would be lower than the Lowland League. It'd be at that level, wouldn't it? The MUL?
I would say so, yeah.
It'd be at that level, Mark. And Liverpool brought scouts to ring Mahon. No, Mahon now is the shithole of Cork. Like, you know what I mean? It's brutal. Like, but Liverpool brought scouts over there to watch this fella because it was Rory Mouse from a scout in Cork City's football team that recommended to him. And they came over and watched him, and they signed him when he was in 1920. They said he's there a long time now at Liverpool, but you know what I mean, if Celtic could get him, you know what I mean, that would, it's a position that you have to get right in this, you know.
That's that and the strikers, the two most important positions in the team, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Well, you make a mistake in goals, Paul, it normally leads to a goal.
Aye.
You know, you make a mistake in midfield, you might get away with it.
Even 9 times out of 10 turns into.
Yeah, even if you make a mistake in centre half, you might have someone to cover you. But if you make a mistake in goalkeeper, generally it's a goal. If you make a mistake in the forwards, you generally missed an open goal or a good chance, so to speak. So, like you're in the firing line, particularly as a goalie. You know what I mean? You could pull off a load of saves and then make an absolute howler, and the ball trickles off into the net. And you know that's the biggest problem. So what you would always say though, Paul, is if you don't concede goals, you won't lose games.
Exactly.
I know that sounds very simplistic, but in itself. But if you have a good goalkeeper in there and you don't concede goals, like just slightly off the beaten track. Look at Fraser Foster at the time when they played Barcelona and all that. He saved everything. I know they scored right at the end, but what I'm saying is when you've got a keeper that's basically phenomenal at times, you're always in the game. Like no matter who you're playing, you're always in the game. Like,
See, that's the thing as well. And Mr. Freeland is saying it there, Mark. He'd be on good money as well as a backup to Liverpool because he only signed a new contract. I think it was last year. That'll keep him there until 2026. You know, so he like this is something you've been talking to Mark about for years anyway. That Celtic need, if Celtic want to bring in quality, Mark, they're going to have to.
They need to pay the wages.
Yeah.
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 And as I said, he's obviously a Celtic supporter and stuff like that. That could maybe swing it our way. Again, if we're offering Champions League football, but I mean, if he was available, there probably will be teams that would match Liverpool's transfer fee or whatever they're looking for, whether it's 10 million, which I would love Celtic to spend that on a keeper because it would just be a kind of show of intent even down to that. Do you know what I mean? Signing a keeper for £10 million.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You made a good point there, Mark. Sorry, Mark, go on.
I was just going to say, but then you're looking at, look, we can't afford to give you public wages. But right away, we'll put you in the top bracket of your earners.
Yeah, but Mark, we could up his wages then, Mark, with kind of more incentives. Do you know what I mean? Clean sheet bonuses there and stuff like that, like, you know.
But on top of that, though, Paul.
You could probably give him an image rights deal. See, because he's Irish, you would probably sell a hell of a lot goalkeeping tops and stuff like that.
Yeah. But as well, too, Paul, when you're going on about the wages and the whole lot, like the list that Mark sent out the other day, there's 33 players on that list.
He's on 32. 32, well, sure, God said they can match that.
Well, no, but there's 32 or 33 players on the list that Mark sent out the other day, the squad. Surely to God, if you look through it, there's 7 or 8 of those that are clearly surplus to requirements. Now, as I said, if there's 8 of them and they're all on $5,000 a week and some of them are going to be on more than that, that's 40,000. Like that brings the squad from 33 down to what, 25? There's only 11 playing in the match day. There's no reserve league. Like, I mean, I think Celtic should be trimming that squad and getting rid of, I know they have, but getting rid of Deadwood and saving a wage as well. And all of a sudden, if you go, well, we only need 25. If they said, well, we need 25 players, that's grand. We've got rid of 7 or 8. We can use that money now. And if we're going to go for a bigger transfer, so to speak, there's already 40,000 towards us. Towards a wage, like, do you know that they were paying every week out? Like, anyway, regardless, they're paying maybe 40,000 out a week with no return, absolutely no return. Like,
and Mr. Feeling said, "Aye, if you want to read that, surely,
push the ball out and that
could even could at least match that or push it up a bit." I said that Paul when it happened. I can't remember if it was just between us or if I said it on the podcast, but for me, it's a case of. See with Cal McGregor getting a new contract in that, I thought that was kind of him like preparing a new wage structure. Do you know what I mean? Right? We're
exactly, Mark. Yeah.
So maybe some of these players that obviously, the way Rodgers has said it, there was players that he wanted that did, for whatever reason, it didn't work. But maybe it is part of that. Do you know what I mean? So McGregor gets pay rise, and then the rest of the pay rises with the new contract can get kicked in and stuff like that. And in general, the wage structures went up a notch. But if Celtic wanted and signed that boy and wanted and gave him 35 grand a week, I'd have no problems with that. It's just in there. The amount of money we waste just on players that aren't offering us anything is shocking. I sound like a broken record saying this, Paul, but you know, I've said it for years that I've not got a problem with the amount of money Celtic spend. It's the way they spend it. Aye. You don't need to. It does help you. See if you've got £12 million to spend on a player, it helps you a bit. But see if you're spending better wages, there's always big teams wanting rid of players that they're just no suited to their kind of style anymore, kind of thing, Paul. And they're maybe sitting there on big money. I'm like Sidney Van Hooijdonk. Do you know what I mean? So the teams aren't that hard to deal with. They just want to kind of try and balance their books. Do you know what I mean?
But you can't really sit in the same age structure. Can you? Do you know what I mean?
But Paul, you broke up there.
I said you can't really sit on the same wage structure for the last 20 years either.
No, but that needs to be what we've done. And Terence says all the time, to go for it, Terence.
But 50,000 5 years ago isn't 50,000 today. Just isn't. Do you know? It isn't the same money. It isn't the same money 50,000 5 years ago that it is today.
Terence,
not the same money.
Wages, didn't you?
You
know that with your wages.
Oh yeah, God, yeah, definitely.
That 50 grand a week doesn't go as far as it used to there, doesn't it?
No, Emma's high maintenance now.
Here, Paul. Nobody I found out the other night. Terence has met Vince McMahon and Stone Cold Steve Austin in that.
What's that, sorry?
Terence has actually met Vince McMahon and Stone Cold Steve Austin in that.
Yeah, through the golf Terence, was it? The golf?
No, when I was in the Middle East.
That's where the guy meant Hornswoggle. That's where they get the idea for Hornswoggle.
that's what they made that film so. War Dogs there with Jonah Hill. That was based in Terence selling arms to fucking Iraq, the Afghanistans and stuff like that.
Terence met Vince McMahon, and then 2 weeks later that wee Hornswoggle popped up in the wrestling.
You're so bollocks.
You're almost pulling your leg there.
I know, but I know.
With the transfer window closed, and are you happy with this squad now going forward, or with the players to come back? Have we strength in depth, do you think?
Well, we have Paul for going to use them. Do like we're talking about like a Watt and players like that. Do you know what I mean? I still the Champions League's giving me the fear just for the simple reason this kind of CDM role. The left back's got to be a bit of a worry as well. Do you know what I mean? But it's more the kind of a bit of muscle, a bit of dog in the midfield kind of thing. That's still a big worry for me. But it's a bloated squad, but the depths have looked better as well. The quality in the depth, I mean. Do you know what I mean?
Considering, Mark, what we're seeing of players coming in now, like we're seeing more and more of home coming in, making an impact. You know what I mean? We still have the likes of the new signing Palmer coming in, Bernard there, as Terence, as you were saying. You know what I mean? We've Novosky, we've Tilio, like there's players to come in like that we haven't seen yet. Like, so it's really hard as well to make a judgment at this precise moment, but when you kind of haven't seen half the team play together, you know.
I mean, I will say that I mean, a lot of people say we came out the window a lot weaker than we were last season. I'm not wearing that. I think we've come out the window squad wise. The depth, the quality and the depth of squad wise, I think it's a lot better than
I was actually thinking about that today, Mark. I was actually thinking about that today. People were saying, we're like a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of people on our live chat were saying we're weaker. And I'm looking at it going, Moy was a big part player. Fair enough, we lost an impact player in Jota, but the reason, Mark, they were saying that was because the team wasn't gelling yet. No one expected this amount of injuries either, Mark. This injury crisis. If Celtic would have beat Kilmarnock, beat St Johnstone, would they be saying we were weaker? No, it's just the team was just off form at the moment, and that's what it came down to, you know.
But
I think.
even down to Jota, I mean, we sat here and we said he was a great player for us, but he wasn't the finished article. He wasn't his decision making. Paul, we say that was one of the things that his scouting report showed up. His decision making was a bit dubious, and it still was. He's not Jota. Well, I don't know what's going to happen with him now if you're there, but we always said that Jota wasn't a finished article. He was a good player for us, but he's no, for me. He's not really. It's not what you would call a replaceable. He was never a replaceable player. We get great money for him. We've brought in new wingers, so how do we know that none of them's going to be maybe even better than Jota? Moy was good for us for a spell. We've got rid of Moy. We've brought in Home. We've brought in Bernardo in the midfield. So I don't know. I don't know how people can say we were weaker.
Especially Mark, when you haven't seen the players yet.
We've only lost one player, really. Do you know what I mean?
When you haven't seen the players even play yet, you know, it's hard to make a judgment on the transfer window at the moment because we haven't seen the players play. You know what I mean? I don't think even Rodgers knows his best team tomorrow because he hasn't seen these players play either, Mark, because they're injured. You know, so he can't make a judgment of these players either. You know?
But at the same time, Paul, the only player that you would realistically say that maybe it's not as strong, generally speaking, would be Jota. The rest of them, like the best Celtic players that we ever have are guys that are either injured for ages or have moved on. All of a sudden, God, we really missed them. Carl Starfelt used to get lambasted week in, week out, and as soon as he goes, oh, Jack, he was a great defender. We really missed him. And you know, and they'll say the same with Jota. And I don't understand the Aaron Moy one. I genuinely don't understand that conversation because Aaron Moy, like, take your mind back to the St Mirren game last season. He was absolutely chronic in it, and they got beaten 2-0. Aaron Moy had a spell for a couple of weeks where he was tidy. That was it. But you can't tell me that your man Holm isn't at least equal to him, if not better than him. And you can't say that Awata isn't to the same level either. So from that argument, I don't understand it. Centre back, they've obviously got in the Swedish lad today. They've got in that Rocky lad. Like they're obviously, you would judging them and the way Starfelt was basically viewed by most of the Celtic fans. They're surely at least the same level, if not better. The only one that you would say is Anyang. Anyang, you know what I mean? Now, I think Starfelt was a fine player.
I said too, Mark, about Rocky, Mark, when he came in like that. He's potential to be better than Starfelt. What I've seen of him watching the Polish league, I don't watch it all the time, but I do turn it on if there's nothing else on. But I've been hearing great reports about him, Mark, and he hasn't failed to impress me since he came to the club. You know.
Sometimes it's a narrative people like to run with, Paul. Sometimes it just gets out, Celtic are weaker now because Jota's gone, and someone says it in the tabloids. Chris Sutton or something might say, oh yeah, Celtic are actually weaker than they are this time last year. But like, Hate isn't playing. He isn't gone. That's up to Rodgers. You know, Jota's the only one you would realistically say that, okay, maybe they're not as strong on that wing as they were beforehand with him there. But all the other positions, they're either as strong or stronger, in my opinion. So the notion that they've all of a sudden come out of this window way weaker than they've gone into it doesn't make sense. And I think I agree with what you're saying there a few minutes ago, Paul. And I was a big critic of it, so I'm not going back on my own words. But if Celtic had been playing well since the start of the season, we mightn't have been maybe having that analogy. But the fact that they've been so poor since the start of the season up to today, maybe that kind of comes into it as well. That God, they're really struggling and they're leaking goals, and there's no one to set up a goal, and all the rest of it, no one to pass in midfield. You know, and people put 2 and 2 together and get, I don't know, clean.
Yeah, but was that down to something too, Sam, that you highlighted a while ago, that instead of Callum McGregor dictating up play, it was Turnbull that was receiving the ball from the back line, and that's why we were too slow getting the ball forward. Was that something maybe that was wrong, and maybe there's something Callum Mark noticed that he needs to be the one getting on the ball, not Turnbull?
Well, obviously something's happened, Paul. But she just came back again to terms here with Jota. Right, and I know it's hypothetical terms, right, but how do we know that Palmer's not going to turn out better than Jota.
Exactly, Mark. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
He's got a lot better pedigree than Jota had when we bought him. You know what I mean? He's been playing out in Greece, and I'll say one thing: he'll massively improve our set piece situation and how we deal with.
I thought it was brilliant.
Oh.
I thought it was brilliant by Beale there that on Thursday saying they decided not to go in for him. He refused you, and you couldn't afford him. That's why you couldn't go in for him. You stupid.
But he said he said he didn't like his attitude or something. Allegedly something like that is what he said. But no, I was only using that, Mark, as an example.
But I agree with what you're saying. Jota is looking, well, a player of Jota for Celtic, as I said, he was far from the finished article, but he was still quality. So it is a miss for Celtic, but for me, it's not that massive a miss.
No, I don't. I agree with you.
Many times we're sitting there on our live chatting that we were going on about why did they do that? Why it took a touch too long, took a touch too much. And why was always looking to showboat and stuff like that rather than be more direct?
Look at Yang.
Look how direct
Yang Mark is more direct, Mark. To get to the void line, Mark, and pull in the cross. And that's what I like about Yang.
Yang will not try fancy stuff just to try and beat him, man. He'll just try and beat him. He doesn't Bumfield hit the ball by him and try and beat him with pace.
I tell you what, Mark, like everyone's expecting a big season from Abada this season, but I think Abada could be hot on his heels, Mark. If we have all these wingers coming back, Mark, I think Abada needs to up his game.
He'll need to step up. Definitely, Paul. Evening, Callum Clark. Thanks very much for joining us, mate. Nice to see you, bud.
Maybe, Paul, you'll have a situation of the Paddy Roberts, James Forrest. Maybe you'll have something like that. And listen, there's no harm. Competition is great for a squad. You gotta get the finger out, so to speak, and produce the goods. And if you're not producing, you're going on the sideline, and so be it. But
I mean, you're not getting to the stage you're right. You play well 1 week, so you start next week, you play bad and you're dropped. Do you know what I mean?
No. You have to have a run. You have to have a run of games. Like you could always, as I said, you can always play those other guys. Like Celtic play enough games that they're going to need enough bodies. You're not going to expect the wingers or certain players to be playing 60 plus games for the season. Generally speaking, unless certain positions, maybe the goalie will or Callum Mack seems to always. But there's plenty of room for manoeuvre, plenty of room for rotation there that you can easily bring a player in. Like there's nothing to say that if Celtic come back after the break and they're playing, I don't know, St Mirren at home or someone at home, he might start the Honduran lad, and give him a run and see what he's like. You know what I mean? He might say, Maeda, look, we'll give you a break, and say to Bada, look, you need to up your game a bit. You know what I mean? You've got pressure now. We've got X, Y, and Z. We've got these wingers. You know what I mean? Every place is there for the taking for everyone. You're starting. The jersey's yours, but you have to keep it.
It's going back to something, Mark, that you always said that Roy Keane highlighted, Mark. If you're starting, Mark, it's up to you to give the manager the decision not to bench you.
Aye, that's it, Paul. If you're out there doing your job that the manager asks you to do and playing well and giving 100%, you become undroppable, really.
It's your jersey.
But to the same extent, say Cal Mack and stuff like that, I mean, there's no need for Cal McGregor to play the amount of games he does. I know it's just the type of person he is, but maybe it's time. I mean, what is he now? 30? Is he 30 now? Isn't he, Cal Mack?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe time to say, look, if you want to prolong your career, because I mean, it's not as if he's Scott Brown. Do you know what I mean? He's the kind of technical ability, the difference between the two.
Scott Brown used to kind of stay in around the midfield area, Marcus. Cal McGregor trying to get around the pitch.
Aye, but see like that. If McGregor kind of looks after. Look, I don't mean looks after himself. He's obviously an elite athlete, but maybe because of his age now, he's trying to make. Well, I don't need to play every game. He would prolong his career a lot longer, and then see by the time he's 36, 37, he's just sitting in that midfield doing a kind of Pirlo job. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just I liked about Rodgers today, and his pre-match comment, and he was talking about Callum Mack's performance today, and he says, "This is Callum Mack when I was first at Celtic. You know, he's the one who should be dictating Celtic's play. He's the one who should be getting on the ball. I mean, he said that's what he spoke to Callum Mack. You're the one who decides how we play. You're the one I wanted the ball. So even Brendan Rodgers kind of knew that, like that we were missing that. The last couple of games, turns what you were saying there, like where was the, and we were saying too, Mark, where's Callum Mark? We seem to be bypassing our midfield,
Right.
and it was good to see Rodgers, Mark, highlight that as well. Mark saying, I have this technician here who's one of the best in the country at doing this. Not one of the best, who is the best at doing that job, Mark. Like, he wanted to be into Leicester with him at the time. You know, getting the ball, taking the way Celtic want to play, Mark. And that's what we saw today, you know.
Generally when Callum Mack plays well, Celtic play well.
Yeah.
You know, and another point that, just to go back to there briefly, what Mark was saying as well about Callum Mack not needing to play all the other games. It's a very fair point, because the other side of it as well, if Callum Mack is continually playing every week, and all of a sudden someone gets injured, he gets injured and he's out for an extended period of time, you're then sticking a guy in who hasn't kicked the ball all season.
Yeah.
And then you're asking him to try and perform, and you know he could take 3 or 4 games to get up to speed. And the problem is, he's not Callum Mack. He won't have that period of grace, so to speak. That if he has 1 or 2 bad games, everyone will be, "I'll get him out of the team. He's rubbish. Get him out of the team." Whether it was a Watt or whether it was Holm or someone like that, the noise would be out from straight away. So that's another reason why you need your backup guys to be able to get a bit of game time as well. Like you're saying, if it's at home to whoever, the lower downsides, I don't want to say St. Johnson after last week's, but for argument's sake, something like that, or St. Mirren or something, why not say to Callum, "Look, you need to sit here on the bench, or you're going to play." I wouldn't even play him for 20 minutes. I'd just sit him on the bench and say, "Look, if you're desperate to the wall and you needed him for the last 20 minutes, maybe, but again, if you're at home and you're struggling to beat them, there's something wrong."
We will push on from this season, from this or season stats here. I just want to go something there to Brian. This season so far, teams are man-marking him, not get. But see, Brian, that's my point. We on the Ange, they were man-marking Callum Mack as well, but the last couple of games, Callum Mack wasn't making himself available either, Mark.
You wasn't.
He wasn't moving into that space to receive the ball, Mark. It's like he wasn't there.
It was during the St. Johnson game, Paul was too busy shouting at the centre backs, telling them what they should be doing instead of doing what he should have been doing.
Yeah,
last week against St. Johnson, it was as if he was scared to touch the ball and take the game by the scruff of the neck.
Yeah,
that's how I did. I was hard with
Jack, Mark. Like we were saying, when we've always said it on this podcast, this game is won in midfield. But Maxine and Jack couldn't get near Callum Mack today, Mark. Do you know what I mean? I actually can't remember them on the ball.
No, they were. It just seemed to be they were always kind of chasing. As I said earlier, Callum Mack ran the first half. It was one of the best performances. Not even just this season. That's one of the best performances at Ibrox I've seen for Callum McGregor. So I used to say I thought a lot of the team went missing in the Derby games and stuff like that. But he stepped up today. The first half he was brilliant, and they did tweak it at half time so there was men on him. That just freed up O'Reilly, which that is good. That's good tactics.
But that's Mark. That's and I'm going to praise Rodgers for that, Mark. Like Rodgers knew the effort that Callum Mack put in the first, and he knew he needed protection, and that's what he brought on home. For home to do the dirty work then and give Callum Mack that head that he needed. You know, like I just hope going forward that he
has to see that.
Shines light on us here that fucking he sees that Turnbull is shit. You know?
But he just has to see that, Paul, that Turnbull isn't suiting what he's trying to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Put it a polite way.
Instead of me just being
putting it a bit nicer there, terms.
Yeah. I just don't think Turnbull is suiting the way, because today it nearly felt like McGregor was like.
Remember we used to always say Turnbull and Rodgers couldn't change the system.
Fucking hell, man.
Do you remember we were always saying in Rodgers' time and under Neil Lenn's time, himself and Roger couldn't play together in the
Yeah.
same team. Turnbull and it's the exact same now. Turnbull and Callum Mack can't play together. You know?
Well, it was like today that Callum Mack just basically nearly went, and I'm not saying he did, but I'm just in theory going, right, Turnbull, just get out of my way. Just get out of my way and stay over there on this side, the right hand side. I'm taking the ball, because the amount of times that Callum Mack took the ball and drove straight into the middle of the field today, which is something that he hasn't done in the first few games. Like, you probably need the toilet anyway, Paul, but however. And
I thought that was going to be quite one, but I didn't think I never fail to let you down, boys, do I? I never fail.
No, you don't. But Callum Mack got the ball every time today, and he just drove straight in the midfield, and he was playing it. He was a lot of one-touch passing, and he dictated. Like, it was like he basically said to Turnbull, "Look, you need to go away from me. You're sitting on top of me, and I'm taking the ball out. I'm the captain. I'm driving this on." And it was like Mark said, it was a fantastic, like, first half, and a lot of the second half. Okay, they came into it a little bit more in the second half with a bit more possession, but even breaking up play near the end, Cal Mack won a couple of important frees and broke out of defence and played a couple of lovely passes, and so like to me, it's basically clear to Rodgers that he needs to be able to see that. Okay, I know it's always Cal Mack. O'Reilly again, I thought had a fine game again today, and you just need to go, okay, do I play Holman or do I play Awata there? Turnbull isn't suited to that. Maybe if you take out Callum Mack for the game and you play Turnbull, maybe that's a potential option from. I'm not saying it's like for like, but playing the two of them in the midfield together, it just doesn't work for me. Just doesn't work.
Shelley is saying Callum Mack is the engine of the team. He keeps things ticking on, and that's, Mark, what was kind of missing from this Celtic team the last couple of games. Wasn't it that it wasn't the Callum Mack that we knew what Callum Mack could be doing?
Aye, and see if that's who the game's flowing through. If he's not at the races, the full plans out the window. Do you know what I mean? If McGregor doesn't play well, Celtic don't play well, because
he's the heartbeat of the team.
Aye. But what Terence was saying earlier on, we do need to find an alternative, because see if I mean, touch wood, but if he ends up with a serious injury, so the players need to have not be used to playing a plan B, but know the plan B kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? There's got to be some kind of alternative to it. And even maybe we talk about trying it with lower league teams and stuff like that, and maybe drop McGregor and try other kind of players in that position. Because
the transition over, Mark, needs to be seamless. That a guy comes in and it's absolutely no difference. Within reason, I know Callum Mack is a much higher level footballer than the individuals of Awata and Holm, but they need to still be able to do the majority of things that he could do. That's all I mean by it. You know what I mean? No,
I agree with you. We need to have it, but if McGregor's no playing, if McGregor, as I said, gets a long-term injury, puts for plan B, we need to make sure that players are used to, if it's going to be Matt O'Reilly dropping back to play that role, they need to be used to that happening. Do you know what exactly? Because if McGregor's no playing, we would be like kind of lost souls out there, really, wouldn't we? It would be a case of, right, who's taking charge here?
Because generally speaking, that individual is in the Celtic scheme of things the main man. You're the guy that's getting the ball. You're the guy that's going to be dictating play. You're the guy that's going to be trying to keep the tempo high. So you can't expect a guy who hasn't played in 10 or 12 games to come in and go, right, I need you to do that now all of a sudden, what he was doing for the last 3 months, if he gets a knock, for argument's sake. So yeah, they need to make sure that someone can come in and at least, get to a level that's okay. It's maybe not always Callum Mack's level, but not too far below it.
What's that, Mark?
See that, Terence?
What was that?
We're getting the series. Aye, that's wee Hornswoggle. That's what Terence's new avatar's going to be when he comes on in future.
Set that up there, dude.
Aye, well, we'll get that sorted, Terence, bud.
Lovely, thank you. I can hear Jack laughing in the background as well, by the way. The one thing I can't, like. Outrageous. He's a fella in the wrestling, Paul. He's a midget basically in the wrestling. That's what he was. He was an Irish fella. He used to come in and kick him and run away. That was pretty much it, something like that.
It's like a wee angry leprechaun, Paul.
Yeah.
I I rented a whore that she was a midget, and I used to call her Bridget the Midget.
No, Mark, you have to. You got right down.
Paul, you just put all that out on the internet. That's right.
Bridget the Midget, pal.
Oh,
She's actually famous. That one, Bridget the Midget. She's
all right. Move on, Paul. Move on.
You know, we used to always say that about there was a fella who works with us.
Oh,
And
Look at you starting, Mark.
he never stays in a room on his own. You know, he always stays in a room on his own. And that's what he says to him, that he's renting out Bridget the Midget. You know, moving on.
I move on to that.
You know, Champions League. I suppose everyone's kind of comfortable about that draw. You know, could we get third? Is it realistic? Do you think? Or
Has to be. And you have to. You could have. We spoke about this the other night, Paul. Like, they were the second last to come out, and if they come out last, I think Antwerp came out last, and they got Barcelona, Porto, and Shakhtar Donetsk. Like, you would have said out of the group, as I said to Mark, group 1, you'd have said Feyenoord, Seville, or there was someone else. You'd have taken any of them. Not, they're still number 1 in the pot. Don't get me wrong, but you'd feel more chance of competing again with them than you would say Paris Saint-Germain or Man City, for argument's sake. So, like, I mean, just as I said, Celtic need to make Parkhead a horrible place to go and play a match. That's the first thing they need to do. But they listen. They have a chance. You'd like more quality bodies in, so to speak, as the transfer. But you know, they could have got a hell of a lot worse draw than that. Like, and you know what I mean? You could see them winning all 3 games at home. I'm not saying they will, but you could see them. Whereas if it was a Man City or a Real Madrid or a Barcelona or Paris Saint-Germain, it wouldn't matter whether it was home and away. You couldn't see any victory in it. That's my opinion. No,
I think as well, Max. Something that the Towns hinted on there. Like, it's kind of, we avoided the big teams. Like, I'm not saying Lazio and Atletico Madrid are the big teams, but it's not like previous draws, Mark, when we got Paris Saint-Germain, Real Madrid, Barcelona's. You know what I mean? Like, this is a group, Mark, where Celtic can pick up points. You know, I think anyone can pick points off each other, Mark. Really,
that's the thing. I think all the teams are basically kind of. Are you still farting?
No, I'm not. No.
Who was that then?
Jack? It wasn't me. It sounded like him anyway.
No, I'm on a leather chair.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Very posh.
Aye. Can't hide money, chairs.
I
think all the teams are kind of the same level. Do you know what I mean? It's games that you could win or you could lose. I saw somebody saying they called it. Usually we get through a group of death. They're calling this a group of hope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? But I think if Celtic get clicking and get up to speed, I don't see any reason why we can't beat any of the teams at home.
Mm-hmm.
They can be very competitive in it, I'd say.
Aye. I don't think there's any teams in there that we need to be
scared. Well, Mark,
of.
It's going back to this, Mark, right? It's going back to last season, Mark, when we had about 36 shots in target and goal, and we only scored 2 goals.
Aye.
You would expect an improvement this year, wouldn't you, on that kind of performance last season? You know,
it was 86, Paul.
86 was it? Jeez.
Yeah, 86 shots and goal.
And 2 goals. You know,
you'd like to think we'd improve on it. It can't get any worse.
You know,
I mean, really, let's face it.
Well, Mark, it's good too. Look, at least we saw coming off the bench today. You know what I mean? Like, something that I would like to see that we didn't see under Ange was Atletico Madrid, Mark, will be a physical team. Could Rodgers see that way, Mark, and actually make it change his formation and maybe start with or something like that, you know?
Well, maybe. I mean, see, once everybody is fit and up to speed, is he going to change things?
Don't know. You know, I don't know. Like all kind of gives us something different, Mark, that that Kyogo doesn't give us, doesn't he? You know what I mean? Like you saw there today, Mark.
A bit of height and physicality.
A bit of
in the
height,
box.
Mark, and he was able to hold up that ball today, Mark, when we didn't have it. You know, he gave us an option, Mark, for us to go along today when we couldn't go along with Kyogo. Do you get me? You know,
I would like to see you getting a bit of a run in the team.
Mm-hmm.
I really would to actually, because the jury is still out on him. We see a lot of things you like him doing, but there's still a lot of stuff. But so his job's to put the ball in the net, and he's not really doing that much.
Mm-hmm.
That big jabber saying, "Oh, he's shite." Do you know what I mean? Cameron saying he looked lazy.
But he had a good record last season, though, Mark. He scored 7 goals. He scored something like 7 or 8 goals last season, and his goal record was something like a goal. It was a goal less than every game for the amount of minutes he had played. You know what I mean? I understand fellas can be criticizing him with certain levels of it, and I get that, but you know, I mean, you have to say how many starts is he getting, how many minutes is he on? Like again, unfortunately, he's been kind of laboured rubbish because he missed the chance at Ibrox.
Aye. And see, if I had been in that day, I said at the time he'd have been a hero. That would be him, right? I'd be a hero.
But you know, so he's kind of tarnished with that one miss. If it goes 6 inches the other side of the post, it's in. I know ifs and buts. If my aunt was a bike, or had wheels to be a bike and all that kind of stuff, but she isn't. But I understand that. But
I'm going to put this to you. With Roger's comments on pre-season that he doesn't see Mead as a winger, he sees him more of a striker. This with all these people coming back, Mark, from injuries, all these wingers, we could see a different route under Brendan Rodgers and Mead that could be up there. Yeah.
Maybe. I wouldn't fancy that, Paul, to be honest.
I know that, yeah. You know
that's obviously why they didn't bring the striker.
I think so, Terence, yeah.
That's obviously what it is. Right, but he
sees something in me that they're putting the ball over the fence, letting Mead run onto it. I don't know. That could be something down the line that Brendan Rodgers sees, you know.
I mean, that might. I mean, as I said earlier, I thought McGee did a great game.
Mm-hmm.
Keep Tavernier pinned back, but I just don't think he's that good a footballer to be honest. I really don't.
Well, he's good at what he has to do, Mark. He's good at what he has to do today. But if you ask him to do something else, like if you said to him, your job is to continually go down and pinging crosses all day, you wouldn't have as much faith. You wouldn't have as much faith in him. But basically, if you're saying to him, just chase all day, close him down all day, don't let Tavernier down the wing. He'll do it all day. He'll run all day long. He's absolutely unbelievable.
Play him at CDM. Try him at CDM, just running all day, chasing the ball down in that midfield. Good night, Brian. Thanks very much for coming in again, mate. Nice to see you. Good night. No, I mean, imagine. I know it's a bit crazy to say that, but imagine somebody like me. You'd have just been that kind of running about trying to break up the play in the centre of the midfield.
Christ, we did have someone like that. He was a fucking headless chicken. Was Zorro? Christ, he was one card away from sending off every game he came on. Wasn't he, Zorro? Thank God. I guess he Haksabanovic that they're actually gone during this transfer window. You know what I mean? You know, you could see that going by Haksabanovic's comments there on Instagram, Mark, that he seemed to be a bit of a kind of a shit star, I think, inside that dressing room or something. You know?
I think he's just but his ego into it. I think he's got ideas above his station. As I said, as soon as I seen him coming out with a dyed blonde hair and that right away, I was like, oh, what's going on here, man?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I can't really take the I was pissed off at that, because I can't really take the piss out of Cantwell when I have one of my own fucking players dyeing his hair blonde.
Aye. You know? But Paul, I've said it before. I know the younger guys are a bit wacko and stuff like that with stuff, but if you're
going to do that, Mark, you've got to earn that. You know what I mean?
You've got to earn that if you're going to be that type of player. Do you know what I mean? If you think back to even guys like Beckham and that, do you know what I mean? They were a bit out there with their fashion and stuff like that, but
they backed it up though.
Aye, you get away with it because they were backing up on the park. Haksabanovic on the boot there with the dyed tear cover.
I never forget when I was playing soccer, there was always a fat lad in my team. You know what I mean? Who would always he'd get new boots for a different game. You know, and he new shorts and everything for the game.
Aye.
It's always a sub, and anytime he come on, it was like piece of cage under John Smith's ads. Averts and just that's what these people remind me of. You know, that dye their hair blonde and they don't do it on the pitch. You know, they just remind me of these people that get on Averts and just get out.
But he had a lot of chances, though. He had a lot of chances. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't take him. There was one game I think was against Hearts. I think he'd one good game. I think that was it, wasn't there?
He one of the games where he played. He was kind of more in the middle of the park than on the wing, and he played quite well. But he's not like we were always saying. Oh, he's coming on for the 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and he looks good. He should get a start. But unfortunately, he had a couple of starts, and every time he started, he looked quite poor. You know,
we would say that as well, Mark. We kind of wanted to see him more in the middle because that's what he said his kind of best position was kind of more in the middle. But
Aye. I thought I'd have liked to see him in the cam role.
I just didn't see it. Like, you know, with that, any time he got a chance, you know, he might get one or two good touches or stuff like that. But people like that are posting stuff like that on Instagram, Mark, for me, they've got to go. You know what I mean? You know,
he looked better coming on and playing the last 15 or 20 minutes.
When the game is won, Mark, when there was no pressure on, wasn't it?
I was quite excited that we signed him. I thought he'd have been a good player for us, but it's just not worked out. Another guy that's, as I said, a pure attitude problem and ideas above his station. I says, don't moan about no playing if you're putting in performances like he was putting in.
Yeah, you can't. You've no complaint.
No, aye, because the fans, it's not as if the fans are going to be on your side. You know what I mean? See if he put out stuff like, oh, blah, 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 and see if he's coming on and playing games, playing well, scoring goals, and then not getting enough game time, the fans would back him up over that. But he wasn't doing it. So you've got no need to come in and complain about you if you're not playing games, if you're playing as bad as he was.
Yeah, he didn't have a leg to stand on it, as I say. Do you know what I mean? He just didn't. I mean, he got loads of chances. He got starts. He used to come on and sub. Then he got a couple of starts, and you're waiting for him to get going, and he just never. He never kind of reached the potential that you would have thought that he had playing with Celtic.
I think Rodgers saw that from day one, because he was
in training.
People marked that he spoke to his agents and he told them that look for a new club. Haksabanovic is one of the first people that he said that to as well. You know, like not a part of my plans. You know,
maybe Rodgers previously kind of known him. You know what I mean? Maybe he knew what he was going to be like. He was going to be a bit of a problem, whatever.
Like, do you think Rodgers waits errata that he's not getting a look in this team? Are we seeing something here are we missing something that Rodgers sees, and that's why errata's not getting in the team?
He obviously seems to be training. Must be training, Paul. Has to be training, or else it's whatever Rodgers is. Whatever the manager has in his head. Look, he's, as I said, without going back over old ground, he obviously has Turnbull in his head as he saw Turnbull as a player there, and maybe he sees Holm as the next player, or Holm ahead of Turnbull, whichever way it may be now. But clearly, Awata doesn't come into his picture, whatever it may be. But you know, you can argue the point, like the previous manager would have played Awata, he would have never played Turnbull. So it's just horses for courses. Managers look at players differently and think, yeah, he suits what I want to do. He doesn't. That's obviously what it is, Paul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a strange one, because I actually think I'm thinking at this stage now, Mark, that Awata's not fancied by Rodgers.
It certainly looks like that, Paul. Even in Strangelove the Doctor, I call him Dr. Strangelove, don't I? Strangelove the Doctor. Thanks very much for coming in, mate. Nice to see you, bud.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely something there. But I mean, we're shouting out and calling out for the guy to be involved in the team. But as Terence and you have said there must be someone in training that's he's just no meeting numbers or whatever it is, and he's just not getting near it. Do you know what I mean? It's It's a weird game, but because I thought the day would have been a perfect game for him as well. And we can't moan. But I mean, really, we can't moan. We're sitting there, right, even down to Turnbull, right? Whether off the ball, Turnbull was doing stuff that we didn't see or whatever, but every player kind of done their job the day to go and get a result that nobody was expecting. Do you know what I mean? And so for a what, I know even the other guy, that Kwon, I don't know what they were doing signing him either.
No, he's another one, Mark. I think that could be surplus for requirements, I think, in the near future, I think.
Kobayashi as well. I mean, it's Kobayashi on the bench today.
I know. I had a chest pain when I saw him on the bench today now. You know, if you lost one in centre backs, like you're in the world of trouble.
But that just shows how much we're down to our bare bones, don't it? You know, that these players who we thought, like, he if he didn't have these injuries, Marks, Scales more than likely would have been gone to Aberdeen. Kobayashi would have went out on loan because they were looking for a loan club for him.
They were trying to get a loan club for him even back in Japan in his career, something like that, weren't they?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Even,
so, like,
just nice to see you, but just in time for his finishing up.
Even Phillips, Paul, wouldn't have been there.
No, Phillips wouldn't be here. That's what I said earlier on about Terence. See, every player we signed this summer, apart from Phillips, would have still signed David Fans was here.
Oh, I would say, yeah, 100%. 100%. I would. I fully agree with you there. They were coming to Celtic, as you said before. It's like Mark Lawwell is the centre, like in a sense, a director of football, and these are the players who are getting in, and you're the coach, and so you'll have a say in bits and pieces, so to speak, if there's a particular player and whatever else, you need a particular spot or whatever. But these are generally what's coming in, and you're happy enough with them. Because Rodgers even said something of the same milk a couple of weeks ago, saying I basically train the team, like they get me the players.
Pedro, can I ask / confirm the 5 players that arrived at the start of the window who signed them? I think they were always in the pipeline, Mark, weren't they? They were always...
That's what I've said there, Paul. No matter who the manager was at Celtic, these players would still be signed.
Mm-hmm.
It's just and people make out this big massive deal about it, and I think a lot of it, even when Rodgers came out and spoke about it, he'll deal with the players that the club provide. He's part of the club.
He's part of there. Strange. Celtic signed on Pedro.
But that's what I mean. It's like Ange. I've said it before. Ange didn't pick all the signings made under Ange. Do you think he'd ever heard of Matt O'Reilly or Jota or Carter Vickers or things like that? These are the players. It's a scouting department that does it, and it's Rodgers will have as much say as Ange did. I think that maybe even a wee bit Mary clout than Ange.
I think Rodgers might get 1 or 2 players that he wants, but the rest then would be the way we.
That's what happened to Ange as well.
Yeah, get the 1 or 2 players that he wants.
But Paul, we've harped on about this for years about Celtic bringing in a director of football and you taking the power away for the coach, the manager, whatever. Evening, Hoggy boy. Nice to see you, bud. Thanks very much for coming in. I think
Mark Lawrence kind of played that role, Mark, really.
That's what I'm saying. But we've shouted about it for that long. Get a director of football in, take the power away from the manager so that when the manager leaves, the things just continue smooth transition. I keep saying it. I know they're not doing too well in that, but you look at it like teams like Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? They kind of teams are, even like Barcelona, Ajax, managers, coaches come and go, but the actual direction and the way the clubs ran doesn't change. The manager's got an input, right? Rodgers will obviously get an input in signings. It's just that what he came out and said the other week's been a bit twisted. He will have as much say in signings as Ange did. Because see, even if Ange turned around and said here, what about Kyogo, this wee Japanese guy, I used to blah, blah, blah. See if the numbers hadn't taught it up and that, he wouldn't have been signed. All the analytics and stuff like that, Paul, it wouldn't have been signed. So Rodgers maybe suggested players and maybe stuff's not worked out. They couldn't get the deal on the line. Money was a problem, whatever. But there's nothing behind the scenes changed for the way Celtic's been ran for the last couple of years. And people going on about Peter Lawwell being back. Oh, this is Lawwell doing this. blah, blah, blah. Well, Peter Law's back. He won a treble last year. Do you get what I mean? We're struggling, you know. But if you're wanting to blame Peter Law for everything that's bad, you've got to give him the credit for everything that's good as well. And I'm trying to say that it's not to do with Peter Law now, but the way the social media and the forum and that is, do you get what I mean? When things go bad, you can't blame somebody for it. And then when they go good, no give them the credit and blame somebody else for it. Do you know what I mean? If Celtic play well and do well, Brendan Rodgers will get credit. If Celtic garbage and get beat, it's Peter Law's fault because of the transfer window. Do you know what I mean? That's the kind of way it seems to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pedro was saying there, should we terminate?
It did make a lot of sense.
Should we terminate Siegrist's contract and sign Kasper Schmeichel on a free? What's your thoughts on that?
I would take Kasper Schmeichel.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's the same age as Joe Hart, but he's no. I think he's still a bit higher up level than Joe Hart is to now. Really, I would take Kasper Schmeichel.
Well, he's went too, Paul. The other lad, in fairness, his head is elsewhere.
It's about competition to that thing there, Mark, as well. That's not there at the moment, Terence, wouldn't he? You know.
Yeah, he would all right. He would all right, but it would also you would also be in having the knowledge that it's someone who wants to be there. It's Siegrist, fair enough. It's his missus or his partner, whatever, is in Australia, and he wants to go there. But his mind can't be fully focused on Celtic when there appears to be that at any stage now, like this has been going on for months that he's apparently heading.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be the same boat as you. If I said it to Mark the other night,
by now either. Like I'm surprised he's not gone by now because this has been said since last year, hasn't it?
Yeah, but as I said to Mark the other night, I just get in an agreement with him and just go, well, whatever he's left, he probably only has in his last season. I wouldn't imagine he's much more than that. I could be wrong, but whatever he's left, and go, look, I think for both of us, we'll cut our ties here. You've got a year left. We'll give you 6 months of it. We'll let you head to Australia and bring in Kasper Schmeichel. And you've got a serious upgrade on Siegrist. And as you said, Paul, you've got competition and good competition. You know what I mean?
But modern football, 40 is okay for keeper. Well, it wasn't good for Al McGregor last year when he looked about 90 when fucking Yotta fucking rang him.
But I mean, that's the thing. But I mean, let's be honest, JFP used to say it all the time as well. McGregor would save 10 points every single season. He was with maybe 38 or 39 and it just fell off the cliff. And I think just because Joe Hart done well today, one swallow doesn't make a summer. He played well today, but up to now and even going back to last season, I was thinking is Hart's career done a McGregor and just that's it. He's hit his peak and it's just went off the cliff now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but
the competition would be great.
Here's one. Did we maybe miss a trick with that with Butland?
Oh, definitely.
Do you know that's a good point for Jabba? Do you know? I mean, Butland will save them points too. Do you know
he's a good keeper, to be fair.
Aye. If he was willing to come up and join them, why were Celtic not asking the question? Would that have been an upgrade in Hart?
I don't know, Mark. Are we looking for more younger keeper come in, kind of long term? You know what I mean?
Well, what age is Butland? But he's only 30, Paul. That's no old for a keeper.
No, it's not. I don't know. It's not. You don't.
Unless this young the Kelleher has it like a long-term plan.
Yeah, is that something that Rodgers and the scouting team want, Mark? You know what I mean?
But you don't even need the scouting, Paul. You know what he does already. It's just the problem is A, can you get him, and B, can you afford him?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and obviously see will he come.
Good night, William. Thanks very much for coming in, bud.
Mm-hmm. The scouting department doesn't just operate over the transfer windows. These players are monitors for years and years. There isn't an aspect of biology overlooked, speed, stamina, power, even mental. Yeah, exactly. That's
well, that data driven into that's the word they use for it. Data driven,
mm-hmm.
And that's the way it's. I mean, that's the modern game. I mean, when you look, I mean, you've got to think about it. if you're running any company and you're spending £5 million on something, you're wanting to know it's going to do its job, isn't it?
You do that, Mark. You're spending 30,000 in the car.
Aye, exactly, Ter. Aye, if you're looking at a car, you're going to look right into every aspect of it and stuff like that. And it's got to be the same when you're scouting players. I mean, years ago when I first started doing the forum and that, right, and I found out that David Moyes, when he was at Everton, like, what is it? I've got a name for it. I can't remember. It's went out of my head now. But there's a room that Everton use, and it's all that computer data, and even use like a computer game like Football Manager and that for stats and stuff, just to like build
like the money ball.
But I build profiles on players and stuff like that, and it worked for years with Everton because although they were struggling winning stuff, but they were buying players that were making them serious money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's the way it's got to be. And especially as well with Celtic, because we need to watch the pennies we're spending to own the bigger, like, European aspect of stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? In Scotland, we can blow anybody out the water. But when it comes to like players that are going to do well in Europe and make us a profit and stuff like that, you've got to look at every aspect here. Even down to their private life and stuff like that. I mean, do you think Martin O'Neill would have signed Haksabanovic?
No.
Do you know what I mean? I know like big Hartson and like Chris Sutton did a bit, but they weren't troublemakers and they were a bit outspoken and maybe weren't the best trainers or whatever. But Martin O'Neill trusted him to get in the part and deliver.
The days of, like, Pedro's making a good point there, like the days of managers having the shop list is gone, and I think the days of a club having a manager is gone as well. It's more a coach now, Mark. You know what I mean?
Aye.
You know, football has changed, like, you know.
It's just that many people that have got an input, Paul, and all we need to hope in is it's the right people that are getting input.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It's like the days of like Brendan Rodgers away doing to watch a game at Stirling Albion and spotting a young boy at 16 and think, well, he's got a bit of something about him, and going to sign him there and then for £50,000 and stuff like that. Their days are long gone. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Lucas Stafford moving because he's bored. Moved. That's a useless weapon. To be fair, I would have moved as well. Like, do you know what I mean? So.
Well, he didn't, Paul. Paul, his missus is in Portugal. He's gone to Spain. He's gone to La Liga. He's gone to La Liga. He could have gone to Portugal if he wanted to. He's gone to La Liga. Mark said this. He wanted to play in one of the best leagues in the world. Yeah, he's a bit closer to his missus, but he could have gone to Portugal if he wanted to. I'm sure there have been numerous teams there would have taken him in Portugal if he wanted to go there. It's the fact that obviously, yeah, he's a little bit closer to his missus, but he got a chance to go to La Liga, one of the top leagues in the world.
Starfelt was leaving this summer. No matter what happened, even if that lass had still been playing with Celtic, he was still further off. So all that stuff about moving just because she moved is a lot of rubbish. Because I mean, I don't really. Well, Campsey obviously brings it up. Big Campsey's a women's football expert on the Discord and that. He loves the women's football, but see next season, that Jacinta will move again. So what if she comes back to Celtic? Starfelt will come back and sign for Aberdeen or Dundee or Kilmarnock or something? No.
Mm-hmm.
Good night, Bobby, mate. Thanks very much, bud. Good morning the night, big man. Doing well, son.
Club first, players next, and managers last. Pulsey boy, say. Pulse boy.
Can't argue with that, can you?
Mm-hmm. And the club always come first, Mark. Right? And to be always said, there's no players bigger than the club. You know, and I think that's what Haksabanovic kind of thought with his kind of remarks on Instagram. Wanted that he's bigger than the club, the way he was carrying on. You know,
just for me, Paul, it's just one of these kind of.
I'm
not what I say, like, call him rubbish, but still kind of saying good riddance to bad rubbish. Do you know what I mean? If you get players in there that are moaning and causing problems behind the scenes, you just get shot at them. No place for that big club.
Once they're causing unrest in the camp, that's it. Like.
I mean, it's not, let's face it, it's not as if it's not as if it's Kyogo coming out and saying stuff, where well, something must be getting ragged behind the scenes in that. If Kyogo comes out with something like that, or I don't know if Cal McGregor or Matt O'Reilly or that are on Instagram and Twitter and stuff, but it's a fringe player coming out and moaning. It's your problem.
It's a French player who got a lot of chances, Mark. You just didn't take him, you know.
Kerry never.
If Kyogo came out moaning, if I was Celtic, I'd just tell his translator, just translate something else.
just kid.
Everything is rosy in the dressing room. They'll just say something else.
Maybe they do that. Maybe we kill goes out this Rodgers guy, man. What a pure dick he is, and that I can't go him. I
love working for Brendan Rodgers. I think he's a great coach.
I'm going to batter him. I'm going to batter him.
They seem a different breed of footballer, though, to be fair to them. They seem a different breed.
Yeah.
All the Asian lads, they seem a different breed of footballer. They seem a lot more polite, a lot more courteous, a lot more, do you know what I mean? Kind of, he's the manager and I obey the manager's instructions and the whole lot. You know, no, I could be wrong with the Hatate side of things, but still, you haven't, even though we think Hatate is unhappy, you haven't heard anything about Hatate being unhappy. If you know what I mean, we're obviously making assumptions. Whereas the likes of Haksabanovic and even Bernabé or that, they come out straight with it, you know what I mean? And it'll be all over the place on the internet, like. You just don't see that happening with the Asian lads, that they'd come out with the same kind of stuff that Haksabanovic is coming out with.
No, it's just a
culture, like
different culture altogether. The way they kind of live their lives and showing the.
Well, Hatate did that. I kind of found his interviews when he was over in Japan, Mark, to the Japan media, very strange when he didn't name Celtic as a team when he was talking about the new season, you know.
I mean, it turns easier, but just reading between the lines. But I think there's some kind of problem with Hatate. Whether he's maybe, I mean,
do you think now they're going to start? Is he going to start negotiation new deal now with Celtic, Mark, after the transfer window's closed?
I don't know.
You know, that's what he said. Like, you know, he wants to wait till the transfer window closes. That, you know,
I wouldn't think so. He's got 3 years left.
So why come out and say, wait and negotiate once the window's shut?
I thought it was the strangest comments, Mark, that I ever heard from a player. That's basically saying, I want to see who's going to come in for me before I commit anything to Celtic, you know.
But from all accounts, Paul, they've given him allegedly the same offer as the two lads, Kyogo and Maeda. They're basically kind of matched what they're giving them. Mm-hmm. So he's not getting any. This is apparently what I read this, so I don't know how true it is, but he's not getting any less than what they're getting. But it's probably like what you said or Mark said a while ago, Paul. He's probably waiting to see what the story is with the Saudi thing, because now this window has gone. Is that the place he's looking at? Do you know what I mean? Where he can go for the mega bucks, like.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
I said it all summer. Until he signed that new contract, I think I always thought there was a worry that he was leaving. And it's still no signed. But see, if I was Celtic now, I would turn around. See, I would like stall on it. And then see, once the Saudi window's shut, then I'd bring him in for contract talks. Because you can't go anywhere to January at least.
Mm-hmm.
Once that Saudi window's shut, there's probably other daft countries that windows are still open. But once that Saudi window shuts, the big money moves kind of out the window. So then you get in and say, well, there you go, there's your new contract. But we've got you to January at least. Mm-hmm. And if you want to leave in January, we'll still get top money for you. But you're playing for January.
He still has 3 years left in his contract, Max. So we're still
So it's actually Celtic. I mean, Celtic have been a bit, I'm not going to use the word nasty, but a bit professional about it. They've obviously, I mean, it's Terence said there, I don't doubt for a minute that Hatate's agent get the same kind of offer as Kyogo and Maeda go. Do you know what I mean? And he's obviously turned that down. And now if he's want to play hardball, well, then we'll play a bit of hardball. The contract, once that, in fact, we'll put the contract talks off. You're not even getting a new contract now. And what's he got to do? He's still here. He's still contracted to us for 3 years. So that's the way I'm looking at it. If he wants to be here, he can be here. And I mean, he'll not be on any great money. He didn't cost us that much money. So if he wants to be, and this is only speculation, if he has been a problem behind stuff like it with the transfer, the contract and stuff like that, well, just play hardball back with him. Just if that new contract's off the table, if you don't want to play this year, you don't play. Go and train with Rocco Vata and that. And I know it would hurt the team because he's a cracking player, but if he's not interested in it, he shouldn't be near the first team squad.
Why did we refuse offers from Vata, actually? Just asking when he wants to leave, when we could have got money for him.
I've not got a clue, Paul. I don't know what that's all about.
It was something to do with the homegrown rule, Mark, you think? Or?
Well, but it's him that wanted it out as well, Paul.
I know that, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's meant to be. It's not even down to game time that was his problem. He's wanting a heavy series pay rise. Celtic are meant to be willing to give him. He's wanting to pay the same kind of money as like your lower level like squad players, like your Tony Ralstons and players like that, like your backup players. And I thought he'd have been away. And as far as I know, Paul, he's got no intentions of signing a new contract with Celtic. And Celtic's got no plans for him to be part of the first team squad. So for me, it's a standoff. But he'll probably leave till it be done with Dembele. That kind of development fee thing and that kind of... They're Pedro saying apparently we're guaranteed 340k for Vata. You know, and they say we're offered 450k. Vata will probably sign a pre-contract in January, or he'll leave in a free next summer and we'll get that £340,000 or whatever it is. Just ideas above his station.
No, I was just curious, like, you know, why, you know.
I mean, see when it's all the media and stuff like that, the players want to leave and things. People say, the media's all against Celtic, but when you've got quotes for people, that's how you know it's the truth. Do you get what I mean? If there's quotes about stuff, you know it's true. See if it's a story, it's just like they're no actual quotes, or Vata wants out to Celtic. You kind of thing with that, laugh it off and you're right, whatever. But it's out there that he's wanting away. So it's not just the media being rotten to Celtic reporting this kind of stuff. And I don't know. See, to be honest, I don't know what everybody's raving about him and that, but I don't know why. It seems people are saying, it'd be terrible if he left, or it'd be some loss to, or he's one of the best young players and that. But if he done these young players for years, Farouz, the Karamoko, Dembele, and that.
And do you know what agency he signed up to? Angie's agency agent. He signed up to him.
To Angie's agency, is that who he went to?
Yeah, that's who he went to, yeah.
I heard that as well. He changed agents up to past the club.
I knew he changed agents, aye. Maybe Ange wants him at Spurs.
Doubtful.
Replace Harry Kane.
Doubtful. I think he's a bit more in doubtful terms.
I'm impolite.
I suppose we let it there, lads. Top of the league with an average Celtic 11 today, I would say. Great character, great mentality of the team. Good times to come. That's all I can say. Mark will close the show.
Right, thanks very much, Paul. Thanks very much for coming on, Ter. Brilliant.
No worries,
for coming on. All the lads in the live chat and everything, thanks very much for joining us. Remember, if you know how to leave a comment, but if you've not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button. Just before we go, that's it, Paul's retiring for a wee while now. I've really cared for his nonsense. He's on the bench for the next wee while. But seriously, Paul's going in for an operation next Monday and he'll not be on the pod. We'll see what's happening next Sunday, but it was only International Week, but that'll be Paul being off the pod for a wee while. So just to say, we hope he's operation goes all right and he's back as soon as possible.
Cheers, lads.
He's a wee dick, but
Yep.
he's an important part of the team. Right, lads, thanks very much again. Good night. Hail, hail, and God bless. Brilliant today, absolutely brilliant. Hail, hail, good night.